A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry of the Circus. Jerry of the Circus.
She was dainty and she was sweet, and I was passing down the street.
Colonel, it's me, Jerry.
Ah, Jerry. Oh, yes, of course, my boy. Come right in, yes.
My, it's sure dark in here.
Yes, such nonsense, such foolishness. You think I was a babe in arms, wouldn't you? Shut the door, Jerry. And then I'm supposed to stay in the dark. Such goings on.
I had no idea how dark these wagons could be.
At my age, to come down to the measles and then to be forced to stay in the dark.
Yeah, I know. I sure hated it when I had the measles. But I guess the doctors know what they're doing.
Know what they're doing? Bah. Jerry, I've got the finest eyesight in the world and never miss a thing. And to have a nincompoop doctor send me to bed and then to keep me there.
He was trying to get Mr. Randall to send you to the hospital.
What? And let the show go on without me? It can't be done.
I told Mr. Randall that Tom and I could take care of you. You see, we've both had the measles, so it's safe for us.
Oh, you did, Jerry? Well, now I call that real friendly. Yes, I sure do.
Hey, we're only too glad to. Tom and I are buddies, and we'd be proud to take care of you.
Yes. I hope Mr. Randall put that doctor in his place for suggesting the hospital.
Well, you see...
Now, come, my boy, out with it.
Well, he said he'd see how you got along and how well Tom and I manage. Mr. Randall said he'd be by here later.
He'd better. If he thinks he can put Colonel Charles Wyndham Alger in a hospital, he's got another thought coming.
It's lucky Mr. Randall's had the measles, too, or he wouldn't be able to come and see us. They say it's lots worse for grown-ups than for children.
What is, Jerry?
The measles.
No, don't believe him, son. It's just that grown-ups fuss more than children. Yes, sirree, that's what it is. Kids don't complain so much.
You're sure a good sport, Colonel.
Might as well be, son. I always say when you're flat on your back, you might just as well be cheerful. Yeah, nothing else you can be.
Say, Colonel, Bump says you know more about the old circus days than anybody else in the business.
Well, now, my son, shouldn't be surprised if I do, yes, sir. My circus days carry me back to the time when circuses went so popular as they are nowadays. No, not by a long shot, Jerry, not by a long shot.
What do you mean, Colonel? Didn't folks always like circuses?
Well, now, Jerry, I guess the young folks always did, but the grown-ups, that's another story. Yes, another story. I had to run away after the first time I saw a circus. The folks thought that I'd just gone to the dogs for sure.
No. Oh, I don't believe it.
Yes. Oh, yes. You see, way before my time, circuses weren't run by men like Mr. Randall. No, sir. In the old days, all the scalawags in the world were supposed to be connected with the traveling shows.
Were they?
Well, now, son, some were and some weren't. The first circus I joined up with was run by an old ruffian. We called him Old Tom. Yes, he didn't care much how we cheated the public. No, sir. The more we cheated, the better was his motto.
But if he cheated the townsfolk, I shouldn't think he'd have trouble the next year.
Son, you hit the nail right on the head. I tell you, Old Tom never dared visit the same town 2 years in succession.
Well, what did he do then?
Well, he kept stopping at different towns across the country. Then about the third year, he'd figure they'd forgotten about the last time, and he'd bring in another show.
Did it work?
Sometimes it did, and sometimes it didn't. I remember one town, though, in the South that didn't forget. Yep, they were sure laying for Old Tom and his show. When the circus tent went up, all the rubes in town came down. Pretty soon the roustabout saw there was a fight brewing for sure, and up went the cry, "Hey, Rube!" Yes, you could hear it all over the lot.
What did the hey rube mean?
That was an old circus cry, meaning a fight with the rubes or city folks was on.
But how could he ever give a show?
Well, they didn't always fight. Yes, it was quite an experience for me as a boy, son. Quite an experience. Then I heard about the Sterling Brothers outfit. You know, Jerry, those Sterling Brothers did more for circuses in this country than any other people in the business.
Why?
They insisted on running a fair show. They never cheated the public. They advertised the fact that it was safe for women and children to come to the shows. Yes, and if old John Sterling or any of his brothers ever caught his ticket sellers shortchanging the public, they were fired on the spot.
You mean to say they didn't used to give the right change?
Not if they could help it.
No wonder circuses used to have a bad name.
Yes, yes. Respectable folks tried to keep their children away from the excitement and dangers of the old circus tents.
Did you ever work for Mr. Sterling?
Did I? Did I? Well, I should say I did. For most 20 years.
You did?
Yes, sirree. It happened like this. Old Tom had been keeping our salaries back for a long time. It was toward the end of the season when our show passed close to the Sterling Brothers show. And I had already heard how they ran things, so I ditched Old Tom for good and for all. I decided to throw in my lot with these brothers, providing they would take me, of course.
You left without your salary?
Yes, I sure did. I figured the old geezer wouldn't pay me anyhow.
What?
Sure thing. I tell you, son, he not only rooked the public, but he took every opportunity he could for holding back on his own people. For at the end of the season, it wasn't nothing for him to fire half the outfit, then refuse to pay him.
Say, I'm sure glad I work for Mr. Randall. He pays every week.
All the circuses do nowadays, Jerry.
Oh, that must be Tom.
Ah, yes, Tom. Tom, yeah. Let him in, Jerry, let him in.
Hiya, Tom. I thought it was you.
Hello. I thought it was about time the Colonel had something to eat.
You did now. Well, Tom, my boy, I was beginning to think the same thing.
Where shall I put the tray, Colonel Alger?
The tray. Well, now, son, seems like my lap would be the most convenient place.
Here, I'll put a pillow back of you. There. Is that better?
Yes. Couldn't be better. Thank you, Jared. Thank you. That certainly smells tempting there, Tom.
I hope it's okay, Colonel. Got a good appetite?
Never been better, my boy. Guess nothing but lockjaw could keep me from enjoying a meal. Now, if you boys excuse me, I guess I'll pitch right in.
Sure, go ahead. Say, Tom, you sure missed it.
What?
Well, the Colonel's been telling me all about the old days in the circus. They sure used to run things different than they do now.
Yes, sirree, they sure did. Yes, they did. I tell you, boys, the greatest man in the world for crazy stunts was P.T. Barnum. Yes, he was the greatest bunco artist in the world.
What's bunco artist?
A man who's a genius at selling folks a joke. Barnum could play more jokes on the public than any man who's ever lived. And what's more, Tom, he could make 'em love it.
Really?
Yes, sir. I'll tell you, boys, it took a smart man to beat Barnum.
Did anyone ever put anything over on him?
Now and then, but not often.
Tell us one time.
Yeah, tell you. You sure that I'm not boring you, boys?
I should say not.
Oh, gosh, no.
Well, the best story I know was about the man who sold Barnum a cherry-colored cat.
Cherry color? I never heard of a cherry-colored cat.
Neither had Mr. Barnum. So he bought it to the tune of about $150.
Whew, that's an awful lot of money for a cat.
Yes, sir, I guess that's what Mr. Barnum thought, especially after he saw the cat.
Why, wasn't it cherry-colored?
It sure was, rusty black.
But I thought you just said the cat was red.
Oh, no, I just said the cat was cherry-colored, and so did the man who sold Barnum the cat. After all, there are black cherries.
I bet Mr. Barnum was sure mad.
Yeah, I reckon he was a bit surprised. But I tell you, it was hard to get the best of that man. Yes, it certainly was. Do you know what Barnum did then?
No, what?
He added it to the sideshow as the only cherry-colored cat in captivity.
You mean folks paid to see that black cat?
You bet they did, and laughed themselves sick when they found they'd fallen for a gag.
That's what Dad used to say, that Barnum put a lot over on the public, but they loved it and were always willing to pay for it, and then laugh at the joke on themselves.
Yes, yes. Do you boys know where the phrase white elephant comes from?
Well, it means having something you don't want, doesn't it?
It sure does, and it comes from the time Barnum got a real white elephant and then didn't know what to do with it after he got it.
Oh, gee, someone's coming. What's the story, Colonel?
Colonel Alger.
Yes. Let him in, Jerry. It's Mr. Randall.
Hello there. How's the patient?
Not so patient, Mr. Randall.
I'm sorry to hear that, Colonel.
Say, Mr. Randall, the Colonel was going to tell us about Barnum's white elephant.
Well, I guess that'll have to wait. And you boys know it's almost time for the show to go on?
What? Say, we haven't been here that long.
Good night. And I told Leo at the mess tent I'd only be a jiffy.
I tell you, Randall, these boys got me spinning yarns, and I guess none of us realize the time. Yes, it's so dark in here and all.
Yeah, I know how the Colonel is once he gets started. Nothing will stop him.
Gee whiz, I'm sorry.
That's all right, boys. Run along. Oh, and Jerry.
Yes, Mr. Randall?
There's an airmail registered letter in my office wagon for you.
There is? Gee, I wonder who it can be from.
I don't know, Jerry. I didn't notice the postmark.
Say, I wonder if it's about that safety deposit box of Dad's. Gee, seems like I'll never find out what's in it.
Or it might be from Spike about getting out of jail.
Say, we better go. Thanks, Mr. Randall. I'll get the letter right away.
Yeah, thanks, boys, for being such good company.
Oh, that was nothing.
Thank you for the stories. And say, Colonel, remember about that white elephant story. We'll be back later.
Okay, boys, so long. So long, yes. Two mighty nice boys.
Yeah, they certainly are. Now, Colonel, we've got things to talk over. First of all, I've sent word on about the Rusov troop.
Hey, you're going to let those Cossacks ride at the Fordham races?
Yes, that's a good idea of yours, and I think we'll give it a try.
Well, now, Randall, I'm glad to hear you say that. It's mighty fine working for a man with your imagination and good judgment. Yes, indeed it is.
Yeah, well, I hope you'll continue to feel that way, Colonel, because my best judgment says right now that the right place for you right now is at the hospital.
What?
Yeah, I think it'd be better for you. You'd get better care there.
Let the circus go on without me? No, sir. You can't do that, Mr. Randall. Why, in a few days, I'll be as fit as a fiddle. Yes, and raring to go.
I know that, Colonel, but measles are contagious, and the best thing to do is...
Not on your life, Randall, not on your life. I won't stir out of this wagon. I guess I can be quarantined just as snugly here as in the big hospital.
Yes, I know, Colonel, but
Here I am, and here I stay. You can put me right on the flat cars, and I'll be just as comfy as... Well, after all, if you had the measles, you wouldn't leave the show.
Okay, Colonel, you win. I didn't have much hope of getting rid of you anyway, but I promised the doctor I'd try.
Yeah, but you didn't make it.
Autolite and its 96,000 dealers bring you Mr. Dan Duryea in a story based on fact. Tonight's presentation of Suspense. A young man holds up a shop, is cornered, kills. You've read the story in your newspaper. Tonight, Autolite recreates it and calls it Remember Me. Our star, Mr. Dan Duryea. Well, Hap, it's April again. What does that remind you of?
Why, showers, of course, Harlow. And what does April remind you of?
An Autolite Stay Full battery, Hap. But then every month reminds me of that bright, brisk, and brawny battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. That especially energetic super starter that gives longer life, as proved by tests conducted according to accepted life cycle standards.
And I suppose in April you can get an Autolite Stay Full at the same place as always, Harlow?
Why, sure, Hap, at your nearest Autolite battery dealer. He services all makes of batteries and has an Autolite Stay Full in case a replacement is needed for your car. To find your nearest neighborhood dealer, just call Western Union by number.
And ask for me, Operator 25. I'll tell you where you can get an Autolite Stay Full.
The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, with Remember Me and the performance of Mr. Dan Duryea, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
In 3 minutes it'll be over, Harry boy. No longer than it takes the Iceman to make a routine delivery. All you have to do is walk in and wave a gun. And then you got money in your pocket again. Easy. Funny how they always turn to jelly when they see a gun. The light's still on in the window. Street's dark. Nobody around. Just right. And there he is. Inside counting money.
Oh, you just made it. I was closing. What can I do for you?
This is a stick-up.
What?
A stick-up. Come on, I want the money.
No, you can't do this. You can't.
This says I can. Now, put all your dough in a paper bag and hurry.
But I don't have much money. This is a small business.
Come on, empty that register.
I won't. You get out of here.
Out of the way. I'll get it myself.
No.
For a small business, you do okay.
You can't take my money. I won't let you.
Crazy old man. Get away from me.
You can't rob me. You can't. You dirty hoodlum.
Old fool. Asking for it. Gotta get out of here. Where's my hat? Oh.
Didn't think you'd still be open, Mr. Who are you? Where's Mr. Leibowitz?
He, isn't here. He had to leave.
Is Mrs. Leibowitz sick again?
Yeah. Yeah, she's sick. Again. I've been left in the store for him. I was just closing.
Oh. Well, maybe I better run upstairs and see if there's anything I can do.
No, he took her to the hospital. They aren't here.
Gee, I'm sorry to hear that.
What are you looking at me for?
Don't I know you?
No, you don't know me. Look, I'm closing. You'll have to come back tomorrow.
Harry Norris. Sure, we went to school together.
You know me?
Sure, from Stuyvesant High. I'm Ruth Shaw, remember?
No, I don't remember you.
No, I guess you wouldn't. But I remember you, Harry.
Yeah, guess you do.
I just need a few things before you close. Here's a list.
Yeah. You pull down the shades on the windows and throw the latch while I get them.
Sure. Of all the people to run into, I haven't seen you since high school.
Let's see. Bread. Oh, here. Coffee. Oh, where's the coffee?
Right there above you.
What?
The coffee.
Oh.
And potato salad in the refrigerator.
Look, do you have to have all this stuff right now?
Well, of course I do. What's the matter?
Nothing. I'll get the potato salad.
You haven't changed a bit, Harry. I'd know you anywhere. You know, I never forget a face. Especially yours.
she's kind of a pretty girl, but she had to walk in on me. She does remember me. She could put the finger on me, but fast when they find old man Leibowitz's body. Too bad. Now I gotta kill her, too, but not here. Somebody might have heard the shots and called the cops. I gotta get out of here and take her with me. I gotta be careful. Make her think I belong here. Get the rest of her stuff and get out of here. Potato salad. What else you... Oh, I thought you were pulling the shades down.
They're down.
What else do you need?
That's enough for now. I have more than I can carry as it is.
That's all, then?
Yes. How much is it?
3.5, even.
Here, 2, 3.5.
On the nose.
Well, it was nice seeing you again, Harry. I'll run now and let you close.
Wait, don't rush off.
I'd better. I've kept you as it is.
Oh, that's okay. I'll walk you. We can talk about old times.
Don't you have to do anything before you close?
No, all done. Here, I'll carry the groceries for you.
Oh, that's okay. I can carry them. I only live around the corner on 3rd Avenue.
Well, I'm going that way, too. I'll carry this for you. Come on. Well?
I forgot. I need flour, too.
Flour?
Yes, the large bag there on the stand. I'll get it.
Okay.
Got it. Here, 60 cents.
We'll charge it. Let's get out of here.
I can carry the flour.
All right, but you do need help with all this other stuff.
Want me to get the light?
Yeah, please.
There. Nice of you to carry the packages for me, Harry.
It's nothing.
Surprised I haven't run into you before, around the store.
Well, this is the first time I watched the store for Mr. Leibowitz.
He must have left in an awful hurry.
He did. His wife was pretty sick.
Do you have to walk so fast?
Oh, no. Sorry. Where did you say you lived?
On 3rd Avenue, just around the corner.
You live alone?
Yes.
You know, it's been a long time since high school. You've got a good memory for faces.
I know.
I don't remember you.
You wouldn't. You didn't know me too well. You used to say hello sometimes when we passed in the halls.
Oh?
You were a big shot, football player and all that stuff. All the girls had a crush on you, Harry.
Did they?
Sure.
Been living in this neighborhood long?
Too long. But the rent's cheap and I'm not far from work, so I stay here.
I know what you mean.
That's the place up ahead with the ivy on the fire escape. Groceries getting heavy?
No. I gotta think fast. It's no good here on the street. Too many people around. Like she said, she lives alone. I have to get inside with her, alone in her apartment. Then I can get rid of her. I wish she'd quit talking. She asks too many questions. And this potato salad stinks. I hate potato salad. I gotta get inside that apartment.
This is it. Pretty crummy, huh?
What's it like inside?
Just as bad. I fixed my apartment up some, but it's the smell these old places have. Can't get rid of it.
I'd like to see it, see what you've done.
Well, I don't know. The landlady is funny about visitors, and it's kind of late.
Oh, come on. You can't carry all this stuff alone. After you, Ruth.
Well, okay. No, you go on up. I have to throw the light switch.
Which way?
Upstairs.
Right. These groceries are getting heavy.
The first door on your right at the top.
You could use more light on this stairway.
That's not all this place could use.
This it?
Yeah. Here, I'll unlock it. Go ahead. Well, this is it. Home.
Not bad. You fix it up by yourself?
Yeah. Here, let me take the bag. Sit down while I put this stuff away.
Sure. Yeah. You fix this place up okay. Nice view, too.
Yeah, the L. Goes right past the window. But you get used to that, too. You should have seen it when I moved in. Really a mess. Then I went to work on... I thought you were in the other room.
What are you doing?
I got flour on my skirt.
Oh.
I put some water on for coffee.
Good idea.
Come in the other room, Harry. I want to show you something.
What?
A picture of you.
Of me?
In a football uniform yet. I still have our class book. Your picture's in it. Sit down.
Yeah, sure.
Funny running into you. I was going through the book a couple of weeks ago, and I was thinking about you. Wondering whatever became of you.
You were thinking about me?
Uh-huh. You didn't know it, but I had a big crush on you when we were in school.
No, I didn't know. I thought I was a big shot in those days. I couldn't see anything.
You sure did. Look, here's a picture of the 4th of July dance in the gym.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I'm not sure.
You asked me for a dance that day. Oh, was I surprised. We no more than started, and they stopped the music to take this picture. You ran off to find Mona Stark.
Mona?
You remember her?
Oh, yeah, I remember Mona.
You were going with her when you quit school, weren't you?
Yeah.
What happened?
We broke up.
Why?
I borrowed a car from a pal so we could drive up to Connecticut and get married. It was a big yellow convertible. Wanted to make a big impression. Mona liked to be impressed. Only my pal forgot to tell me it was a stolen car.
What happened?
Never saw her again. Saw a picture of her, though, on the cover of a secret detective magazine. She had a gun in one hand, a bottle in the other, and some guy was choking her. She looked good.
Well, enough of the good old days. What are you doing now, Harry? For a living, I mean.
Me? Oh, nothing worth talking about.
How do you happen to know Mr. Leibowitz?
Mr. Leibowitz?
He's the sweetest old dear. He'll take credit right up to his ears. But people always get around to pay him. You must know him pretty well to be left in charge of the store.
Well, What's that?
It's the L. Goes right past the window.
Shakes the whole building. How do you put up with that?
You get used to it. Noisy, huh?
Yeah.
You could fire a cannon in here when it goes by and you wouldn't hear it. You get used to it. I think the coffee's ready. Only take a minute.
You could fire a cannon, and I'm only carrying a .38. Sure. All I have to do is sit and wait. We'll drink coffee and chat about the good old days. And when the L goes by again, I'll be able to walk out of here safe and sound, with nothing to worry about. Ruthie won't be up to remembering anything. She'll be dead.
Autolite is bringing you Dan Duryea with Charlotte Lawrence in Remember Me, tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Harlow, how can I get some action around here?
Why, it's simple, Hap. Just get a dandy, dependable, and dynamic Autolite Stay Full battery. The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. You'll have instant action. Quick starts for a long, long time. Because the Autolite Stay Full battery is protected by fiberglass retaining mats to reduce shedding and flaking and give longer life, as proved by tests conducted according to accepted life cycle standards.
Where do I get this famous battery?
Just visit your neighborhood Autolite battery dealer. He's the man who services all makes of batteries. To quickly learn his location, just call Western Union by number.
And that's for me, Operator 25. I'll gladly tell you where you can get an Autolite Stay Full, the battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Dan Duryea in Elliot Lewis's production of Remember Me, a dramatic report well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Coffee will be ready in a minute, Harry. I'm not much of a cook.
Let her make coffee. Let her do anything she wants. She's only got a few minutes to live. Only until the L goes by again. Goes by with a big noise so no one can hear the little noise of my .38 going off. And then Ruthie, who remembers me so well, will be out of the way. Then I can get out of here, safe and sound, and nobody knowing anything. They'll just find two bodies a couple of blocks apart, and I'll be miles from here.
You hungry?
All I have to do now is wait for the L.
Harry, you hungry?
What?
I asked you if you were hungry. I could make...
No, thanks. Just a coffee.
Okay. Hot coffee coming up.
Good.
Sugar?
Black.
Here. It's hot.
Yeah. Good.
Mm-hmm.
How long you lived here, Ruthie?
Over a year.
I wouldn't last overnight with the L going by the window like that.
I'm used to it.
Does it go by often?
Never stops. I'll warn you the next time I hear it coming.
Yeah. You do that.
Harry Norris. Here in my apartment.
What?
I can't get over running into you like this.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Are you married, Harry?
No.
Funny. I pictured you married by now and with a family. But here you are. A little older, but about the same.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes.
What do you do for a living?
Oh, nothing right now, but I got plans, big plans. I'm going to be running a lot of guys around this town someday, and I'm going to have money, lots of it.
I don't doubt it. You say you have plans. Tell me about them, Harry.
What's to the town? I'm after big money, that's all.
You'll have it. If you're the Harry I remember, you'll get whatever you want.
What do you mean by that?
I remember how you were around school. When you saw something you wanted, you got it. Nothing could stop you. I remember a football game with Astoria High. You got knocked out and they carried you off the field. We were losing the game and you came back in all bandaged up and put us ahead.
Yeah.
I was very proud of you. I thought you were wonderful.
You? But we hardly knew each other.
I knew you. Well. I waited outside the gym that night to see if you were all right. I saw you leave and you had a little bandage right there. Where the tiny scar is now.
Oh, this one.
Uh-huh.
So, you waited around to see if I was okay, huh?
Yeah. I even followed you home that night. I was afraid you might pass out on the street and there would be no one to take care of you, so I followed you.
I remember that night, but not much of what I did.
Instead of going home, you stopped in at a pool room. I waited outside for hours.
You did?
Then it started to snow. And I went home.
It's funny, I don't remember seeing you, and yet you were around so much. It's funny.
Well, I was a pretty horrible-looking kid then.
Maybe. Well, there's nothing wrong with you now, Ruthie. What time is it?
I don't know. The clock's in the bedroom.
Oh.
I wonder how Mrs. Leibowitz is doing.
Mrs. Leibowitz? Oh, you can call in the morning and find out.
She's been sick a lot lately. Poor old Mr. Leibowitz has been worried to death about her.
You like the old man?
Sure. He kept me in groceries for a long time last year while I was looking for work. And he's done the same for other people in the neighborhood. What's the matter, Harry?
Nothing's the matter.
Then sit back and relax. You're sitting there like a tiger about to jump on something.
Yeah, sure. You, like living alone like this?
I love it.
Don't you get a little lonesome?
Sometimes. But I have friends in the neighborhood, and we get together and have crazy times.
How come you never got married, Ruth?
Never met the kind of man I'd want to spend the rest of my life with, I guess.
No boyfriends? No one?
It's kind of your fault, Harry.
My fault?
Mm-hmm. When a girl has a crush on a fella and nothing happens, she goes on thinking that maybe someday something will happen. And in the meantime, the other fellas just don't mean much, I guess.
Ruth, I don't get it. Did you feel this way about me?
I did, once, when we were in school. But I got over it.
Did you?
Sure, I guess.
You're a funny kid. I don't get you.
Forget it, Harry.
Wish I could remember you. What you looked like.
Like I said, I was pretty awful.
What are you looking at?
Your scar. It's no larger than a match head.
Yeah.
I can hardly feel it. And you have another tiny scar on the side of your nose right here. Where'd you get it, Harry?
A fight, I think.
Always a tough guy. That's why the girls liked you so much. You treated them so rough.
Did I?
And you ignored them most of the time.
Yeah.
The way you're ignoring me right now.
Am I?
Only inches between us and you ignore me. Ignore this if you can, Harry.
Ruthie.
And this.
Ruthie, baby.
Harry. Honey? That was the L that just went by.
I heard it. I heard it.
Now you can relax for another 5 minutes.
Another 5 minutes? Ruth,
What's the matter, Harry?
I don't know. I must be going soft in the head. I came up here to do something. Now I can't. The things you said, the way you act, you make me feel like I mean something to you. All the time I didn't know you were alive. If I really mean anything to you, you'll help me. I need help. Ruthie, can I trust you?
Ruthie, are you home?
Who's that?
I don't know.
Honey, it's Jimmy. Ruth.
Jim!
Don't make a sound.
What's going on up there?
Mrs. Dooley, have you seen Ruth?
Well, I heard her come in a while ago. I didn't see her, though. What are you banging on her door for?
She doesn't answer. Do you have a key?
A key? I think so.
Well, get it.
I don't know what you're so excited about. Maybe she's asleep.
Look, Ruthie, you're going to do as I say or you're going to get hurt. See this 38? It'll be against your side like this. Act like you're going to sleep and answer that guy and get rid of him, understand? Okay. I'm taking my hand away from your mouth. Now be careful. I don't want anybody to know I'm here. Get rid of him.
All right, Harry. I'll get rid of him.
Ruth?
What's going on out there?
Ruthie?
Jimmy? Is that you?
Yeah. Are you all right?
What do you want? It's late. Of course I'm all right.
Why didn't you answer when I knocked?
I've been asleep. What do you want?
Well, nothing, honey. I was worried about you, that's all.
Worried? About me?
Sure. You said you were going to stop by old man Leibowitz's place for groceries on your way home.
I did stop there. What about it?
Well, was everything okay?
Tell him yes.
Yes. Everything was all right. Why?
Mr. Leibowitz was held up tonight. He was shot.
Oh.
Mr. Leibowitz came down to the store and found him dead behind the counter. Ruth?
I heard you, Jimmy.
The neighborhood is full of cops. They say it happened less than an hour ago. You can see why I was so worried.
Get rid of him.
I'm all right, Jimmy. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, sweet. Hey, don't I get a good night kiss?
I'm not dressed. Good night.
Okay. Good night, honey. Well, Mrs. Dooley, forget about the keys. She's all right.
You killed her.
I killed him.
You're going to kill me.
I'm going to kill you.
Yes, you have to, or I could fix you good with the police.
Yes, you could. You almost got it before, but you got me mixed up a little. You made me forget what I came up here to do. Trying to make me think you cared about me.
Harry, I did.
Yeah, does everybody in the building stop by for a good night kiss?
Jimmy's only...
I don't care who he is. Only, why the routine with me? What were you after?
Harry, why don't you give yourself up? You heard Jimmy. The neighborhood is full of police. You can't get away.
I've been in tighter spots than this. I always get away. Here it comes, Ruthie.
Harry.
Sorry, baby.
I won't tell anyone, Harry.
Sorry, baby.
Don't kill me.
Sorry, baby. It's all right, miss. It's all right.
Is he dead, officer?
Yeah.
I didn't know whether you'd get here in time.
We finally found that trail of flour you left from the store up here. We hit the door just as the L passed. Close.
That was quick thinking, lady. That trail of flour. Did you see him shoot no man?
No. When Harry opened the refrigerator to get some potato salad, I saw Mr. Leibowitz's legs sprawled out on the floor. And when he came from behind the counter, he left tracks of blood.
Yeah. Hey, how did you keep him here so long without him killing you?
We had a lot to talk about. I knew Harry a long time ago. There were things I remembered about him. But he didn't remember me.
Suspense. A story based on fact, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Dan Duryea.
This is Carlo Wilcox speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Last week, it was the very great privilege of Autolite to salute leading car manufacturers who install Autolite products as original equipment in the Parade of Stars automobile show in the Grand Ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City. Here in a colorful setting were presented brilliant new car models produced by members of the Autolite family. On the opening night, the show was presented to millions at Autolite Suspense television time in the first national television preview of an automobile show. Later in the week, the show was attended by thousands from all over the world, as well as by leaders in the automotive industry and stars of the entertainment world. All members of our Autolite family joined in this salute, and we're proud to have had this opportunity of expressing appreciation to the distinguished members of our family and to their dealers for our many years of association.
Next week, a true story of a murder on the high seas, a classic of documentary American crime, in which our star, Mr. Richard Widmark, will appear as Mate Brom. The dramatization is based on Edmund Pearson's famous essay and will be presented on Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. Remember Me was written for Suspense by Gus C. Bays. In tonight's play, Charlotte Lawrence was heard as Ruth. Featured in the cast were Joseph Kearns, Ruth Parrott, Lee Millar, and Charles Calvert.
For the location of your nearest battery or spark plug dealer or your nearest authorized Autolite service station, phone Western Union by number and ask for operator 25. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
Mutual presents Arch Oboler's Plays. The Mutual Broadcasting System has the pleasure of presenting the 8th broadcast of a special 26-week series of plays by radio playwright Arch Oboler. The play will be introduced by Arch Oboler.
You know, radio by and large is an ephemeral art. What happens drives across space and through your radio set and out of your loudspeaker and is quickly gone with the kilocycle. So the short play is especially fitted to the radio medium. Tonight we had planned to go over motion pictures one better and do a triple feature. But 30 minutes can't be stretched, so here's a double feature.
First feature, a comedy, titled Ostrich in Bed. This is what happened to Mr. Bart Reynolds one evening when he returned from work, coming cry on his lips.
Dean, darling, I'm home.
I know you're home.
What's the matter, darling? Is you got a cold?
Bart, listen to me.
Listen?
I tried to reach at the office. You weren't in all afternoon.
Oh, it's the bank. When is it, Dean? What's the matter?
Darling, I don't know exactly how to tell you this.
Tell me what?
Bart, you and I...
No. No!
No, what? All I want to tell you is...
Yes?
There's an ostrich in our bed. Bart Reynolds, all I ask you to do, absolutely all, is open the door and look in.
Come here.
Yes.
How long have we been married?
7 years. What's that got to do with it?
It's got to do with why I love you. Never a dull moment. Remember last year when I came home and you announced that you'd gone into the fur business with 1 rabbit? And the year before that, you'd gone into the chicken-raising business with 5 roosters? And the year before that, someone had given you a deal to flour and you were going to corner the honey market.
Will you answer me what's that got to do with this?
Well, what business venture is all this ostrich nonsense a preamble to? Now, come ahead. Let's have the truth.
Bart Reynolds, are you insinuating that I'm lying?
My sweet, my dear, my love, I'm only insinuating that it's after 6. Our dinner guest is arriving at 7. He's a man absolutely without a sense of humor. So let's have the joke. I'll laugh, and then I'll help you get the table set.
Bart Reynolds, you come with me.
Oh, Jim, wait a minute. Stop pulling.
Come with me.
But where?
The bedroom.
Jim.
I'll show you. Here. Look.
It is an ostrich. It is an ostrich.
When I heard the sound of the door, I thought to myself, now who can that be?
Yes, and you know,
So I said to myself, now who can that be?
Oh.
And I started for the door, and on the way I slipped and fell. Thought that Miss Olwax is absolutely no good.
Oh.
And when I got to the door, I couldn't open it because the lock was stuck. So I said, I'll be with you in a minute. Not having the slightest idea what was on the other side. And when I finally did get the door open, there it was.
But
I tried to scream, but the scream stuck in my voice, so I just stood there, and it just walked right down me down the hall into the bedroom and sat down on the bed. And that's all there is to it.
But, darling, people don't open their front doors and find ostriches there.
No, Bart.
No, ostriches just don't walk into people's houses and sit down in their bedrooms.
No, Bart.
It's preposterous.
Bart.
Yes?
Why don't you tell that to the ostrich?
Hello? Hello, is this the police department?
Yes, Sergeant Buchanan.
Well, Sergeant, this is Mr. Reynolds at 803 Catalpa Street.
803 Catalpa.
A very peculiar thing has happened here, and I wish to report that...
I'm listening.
Well, it's this way, Sergeant.
Say it, Bart.
It appears that there's an ostrich in our bed. That is to say, there's an ostrich in our bed.
I'm afraid we got a bad connection. What did you say?
I said an ostrich has come into our house, and he's in our bed. Now, please, won't you send a squad car over here quickly? We're expecting very important dinner guests, and the ostrich ought to be out of here by the time they arrive. Sergeant? Hello, are you there?
I'm here, mister. Don't you think it's a little early in the evening to be feeling so happy?
I'm not happy.
He's not happy.
Who is that?
That is my wife. Look, will you please hurry and get some policemen over here and get this ostrich out of here? Sergeant, did you hear me?
I heard you. And I've one comment to make. There's a war going on. The police department is short on help. We're overworked. We're tired. And we haven't got any time for drunks. Now go stick your head in a bucket and don't bother us.
Hello, is this the Society for the Protection of Dumb Animals? I said, is this the Society for the Protection of Animals?
That's the PCA. Can I help you?
Oh, you certainly can. Did you pick up stray animals?
Yes, sir. A dog or cat.
Well, it's sort of a bird.
Male or female?
Well, I don't know.
I'm sorry. We must have that information.
Oh, hold the wire. Joan, is it a he or a she?
Oh, really, Bart? How should I know?
Hello? We don't know.
I'm sorry. We must have that information.
But it's a bird, you hear me? A bird.
I'm sorry. We do not pick up stray birds. Would you be interested in a nice dog?
I would not. Now, this bird, could you please...
We have a complete selection of stray dogs. The dog is man's best friend. Every home should have a dog. Would you be interested?
Ooh.
I told you. It's hopeless. We'll never get rid of that bird.
Listen.
Listen to what?
It's almost 7. Mr. Calvert.
Mr. Calvert. Oh, Bob, what do we do when he gets here? Tell us?
Are you out of your mind, honey? He's a stuffy conservative nincompoop who writes stuffy conservative newspaper editorials. If the police won't believe our story about the ostrich, what do you think Mr. Calvert will say?
Well, we can show it to him.
One mention of this ostrich, and we'll be in every newspaper in the country. I can't call off this dinner, honey. It's part of public relations. So there's only one hope. Give Mr. Calvert dinner and get him out of here fast.
Dinner? Oh, Bob.
Oh, Bob, what?
The dinner. I haven't even begun the dinner. Bob.
Do
you think Mr. Calvert would be interested in ostrich on toast?
Fundamentals, my dear Reynolds. What this country needs is to go back to fundamentals. Agreed? Yes, Mr. Calvert. The fundamentals of simple living and simple food. May I congratulate you on your salad, Mrs. Reynolds?
Thank you, Mr. Calvert.
Yes, what America needs is a simple, peaceful way of life. Your way of life.
Thank you, Mr. Calvert.
Thank you, Mr. Calvert. Here you are, too. That's sufficient. You, Mrs. Reynolds, capable of making a fine dinner.
I cooked in a defense tank.
Immaterial and irrelevant. You are capable of conducting your own family life, sanely and efficiently.
Thank you.
That's all, that's all. It has been my experience that the average American family has too much horseplay and not enough horse sense. The wild, unrestrained so-called shooting, the average American family, leads to family discord, distance, and divorce. Agreed, Reynolds?
Huh? Yes, Mr. Calvert.
The American home must once again become a quiet haven. What's that?
Woodpeckers.
I beg your pardon?
She means night woodpeckers.
Oh, yes. Where was I?
In the American home.
Oh, yes. The American home. It must once again become an institution. Self-sustaining, self-productive. An arsenal of livestock. There it is again. What is that?
The arsenal of livestock.
I can't hear anything.
Neither do I.
Well, thought I did. To continue. That to be self-sustaining, every home should make use of our feathered friends. Pigeons in the attic, chickens in the basement.
What about the bedroom?
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Calvert, have you read any good books lately? I mean, about the American home? Just the other day I ran across a book that said... Yes,
just a moment, Reynolds. Listen. There's someone at the door. Well, aren't you going to answer it?
Oh, yes. Yes, there must be somebody at the front door. I'll go see.
Just a moment.
Yes, Mr. Calvert.
Sound is from that way.
Oh.
Reynolds, are you just going to sit there? Aren't you going to find out who it is?
Well,
Oh, it's no use, but you might as well show him.
Show me what? What's going on here?
That feathered friend you were talking about,
Well?
We already have it, Mr. Calvert.
I beg your pardon?
Even when you see it, sir, you won't believe it, but here goes.
What is it? Yes, yes.
Look down the hall and hold on to your hat.
What? But... Oh. Is it an ostrich? It is an ostrich. Oh.
Look out. It's got out. Don't let it get...
All right, Bart. Everything's under control.
What?
Mr. Calvert has passed out, and the ostrich is eating the salad.
Well, Mrs. Reynolds?
Well, Mr. Reynolds?
Here we are.
Here we are.
Who writes your dialogue these days?
Oh, short, fat fellow without a head.
Tell me, Mrs. Reynolds, has anything amusing happened to you lately?
Oh, nothing much. Met an ostrich yesterday.
Anyone we know?
Tall, thin fellow with feathers.
Along the boulevard?
No, right over the salad bowl. What's funny, Mr. Reynolds?
Well, at least we got rid of Mr. Calvert.
Yes. And I'm very sleepy. So let's go to bed.
What bed, Mrs. Reynolds?
Bart, it isn't back in the bedroom again.
I didn't want to tell you before, but while you weren't looking, it went back into the bedroom.
Bart, throw it out.
And we've been through that before.
Bart, do you admit you're afraid of an ostrich?
I admit I'm afraid of an ostrich.
But I'm tired. I want to sleep. Well, I sleep.
There's always the sofa.
Oh, this is crazy. Call the police. Call the fire department.
Call the Society for the Prevention of Dumb Animals.
All right. Just wait until it's morning. If I have to call out the wax, the waves, and the spars, out it goes.
Out it goes.
Bart.
What is it now?
In the morning, do you think it'll expect breakfast in bed? Bart, wake up.
What?
It's after 7. Come on, please, wake up.
What?
It's after 7.
I will. Oh, you guys, did I have a dream?
I know. You dreamt there was an ostrich in the house.
Yeah, how did you... Oh, gee.
Yes, Bart, your dream is walking around the bedroom.
How do you know?
I left him a little while ago. Shooting your shorts.
The plain or the striped one?
Bart, listen.
What could they do?
Oh, Bart.
Now, don't be afraid. After all, it's only an ostrich. And an ostrich is a bird, and the bird hasn't got any teeth, so why should we be afraid of an ostrich?
Bart, looking at you.
I think it's looking at you.
Bart, do something.
Hello, ostrich.
Oh, it doesn't like you.
Why do you jump to conclusion? It's just lonely, that's all. It's good from a zoo or a circus or something. Obviously, it's a lonely bird.
It's got a head like a snake.
No. On the contrary, I think it's the handsome bird. Where are you from, old boy? Old girl? Look at the damn thing. Do you think it understands?
I wouldn't know.
Ostrich, I'm going to talk to you now, man to man.
Oh, bless his little hand.
Now, look, Ostrich, we're very appreciative about your frightening Mr. Talbot out of here, but believe me, enough's enough. Now, surely there's a nice cage waiting for you somewhere. We're not a good family, brother. You wouldn't like our social life. People. We like people. The house is always full of people. Now, you like privacy. You like.
You're heading us on. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No, I've done it.
Bart. The way it's looking at us, it's as if it's trying to make up its mind.
Yeah, whether to stay or to go.
That's it, whether to stay or to go. Ostrich, listen. We're not the family for you at all. I can't cook, I can't sew, and I can't...
Stop that.
You're trying to tell us.
We're sane people, aren't we?
Are we?
I'm going to settle this thing right now. Right now.
Bart, where are you going?
To open the front door. Now, you blasted long-necked imitation of a feathered friend, get the devil out of here, do you hear me? Get out!
Bart, it's gone. Bart, it's gone.
What do you know?
It's where?
Quick, the window. Look, it's crossing the street.
Climbing the stairs of the Johnson house.
It's tapping on the door.
Bart, Mrs. Johnson's opening the door. And there it goes in. It's gone into the Johnson house.
That explains it.
What?
It had the wrong address.
You have just heard Ostrich in Bed. The leading players, Wally Mayer, Mary Jane Croft, Earl Ross, and the Ostrich. And now, the final feature of our double feature, a comedy titled Report to My Relative.
It's come to my attention that certain ones of my relatives are very worried about a certain person, namely me. It's come to my attention that certain relatives are saying that when I got off the boat that brought me back from the South Pacific after 4 years in the Army, including 3 years combat duty, all I had to show for it was sunburn, malaria, and no dough. With all these rumors and worries going around, I therefore wish to take this opportunity, like the politicians said, to make a report to my relatives. Dear relatives in the borough of Brooklyn, I give you greetings, like the president said to me on my draft notice. I am now back in the United States as a returned serviceman, having been formerly with the United States Marine Corps, of which certainly even you have heard. Now I will get down to the subject of which all of you are most interested. Biz. Financial. The rumor is right. I got off the boat after 4 years in service, including 3 in combat, and I wish to state that my bankroll is flattered in the top of Cousin Eli's head. But before you snatch in the welcome mat, push the bureau up against the door and plug up the keyhole, leave and tell you a few more of the facts of life of your relative, Fuzzy Moran, namely me. When I arrived in that certain South Pacific island due to certain events which took place on a transport going out, namely, certain very bad and unusual passes, I arrived on said island in a very bankrupt condition. This, you will say, is the familiar condition for one Fuzzy Moran, but, dear relative, by this time I'd been in the Marine Corps for 2 years. So I therefore cleaned out an old air drum, promoted a certain gas engine, and within a very short time, Fuzzy Moran, was in business.
Foxhole Laundry, choice the specialty.
This may come as a complete surprise to you, my dear relatives, but Fuzzy Moran, was an immediate success.
Yes, Major, I'll have the shirts for you in the morning. Okay, Captain, no starch in a collar.
Fixing the holes in the socks will cost you 2 bits extra, Sergeant. Okay, I'll turn the cuffs for you, but that'll be 4 bits, Corporal.
It started 2 weeks. I had to hire 2 assistants. And by the time somebody in Washington pressed the button and said, transfer Fuzzy out of Guard, and I had to, like they say, liquidate business, I had $1,000 cash in my kick. I got on that transport floating like I had clouds on my feet. $1,000. I was in the laundry business.
Come on, Snake Eyes.
2 hours on that transport and I was out of business.
Come on, little Joe. No, make my point. Clean out the joint. That's all, brother.
That's all, brother. Having no more money, I was asked to leave the game and go stake my tent someplace else, which naturally gave me a lot of what you might call spare time on which to think. This thinking continued for 2 days, and by the time the very large bridge, which belongs to San Francisco, come into sight, I had it all figured out. First, what I needed was a samurai sword. In case you are ignorant, my dear relatives, which is natural, a samurai sword is used by Japanese officers when they're charging banzai, and it's supposed to be a very slick article for the souvenir hunters, although personally I'll take a baseball bat any time. But, for reasons which you will soon note, I decided that I need one of these here samurai swords, and since I don't have one, I look around, and I pick on Sergeant Milligan. First, because he has a very long sword which he's removed from a Japanese officer, and second, because he's a very sentimental character.
Hiya, Sergeant Milligan. How are you, old kid, old boy?
It's Sudsy. You've done your shape. Remember?
Yeah.
Sergeant, it's come to my attention that you're the proud owner of 2 of them there Japanese samurai swords. Is that a fact?
Yeah.
It's further come to my attention that you've turned down a sum of 25 clams for said sword.
Yeah.
From which I take it you're interested in making a much larger profit.
Yeah?
Sergeant, man to man, do you love your mother?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I want to talk to you about. Sarge, I have a small proposition for you. A small proposition. If you should ask me, my dear relatives, what my mother, who's been dead 10 years, God rest her soul, has got to do with a Japanese sword, I'll tell you it has nothing to do with a Japanese sword. But as I said, Sergeant Milligan is a sentimental guy, and when I leave the ship, I've given him the last thing which I owned in the world. Viz, a certain pair of earrings from Australia, which I've been saving for a certain dame on Flatbush Avenue, who I discovered from a long-distance telephone call waited all of 12 hours after I'd been inducted to marry a certain 4F individual waiting for the A&P grocery stores. In return for these here earrings, the sentimental Sarge has given me his extra Japanese sword, which I'm still carrying as I get off the boat in San Francisco, and which I'm still carrying when all the formalities have been gone through very speedily, if I must say so, and I'm now a returned serviceman. So, I'm walking along carrying the sword very prominently, you might say, when a certain civilian individual comes up alongside me. Now, I can see right away that this here civilian is strictly legitimate, looking exactly like Cousin Harry, who, as you know, is a very hard-working and strictly legitimate. The time is now 9 o'clock in the morning, and my first day as a returned serviceman proper.
I beg your pardon.
Sure, okay, mister. I'm easy to converse with. What's on your mind,
Is that a Japanese samurai sword you're carrying?
It is indeed, brother. It is indeed.
You are a returned serviceman, I take it.
You took it, Hank.
I suppose I shouldn't say it, but would you be interested in selling the sword? Oh, I know it's a terrible thing to ask. I presume it has a great deal of value to you, but I've always wanted to own a sword like that, and, of course, there wasn't ever a chance of my getting into this war because I'm over 40 and my asthma. Would you sell me the sword? Would you sell me the sword?
At 10 a.m., dear relatives, this certain civilian who looks like Uncle Harry is the owner of one Japanese samurai sword, while I'm now the owner of $10 cash and one Model A Ford in very good condition, including the paint job and 4 very good tires in very good condition, due to the fact that this said civilian individual, a minute gas and rubber rationing begins, puts the car up on blocks, drains the oil and water, and covers the whole thing with a dust cover like it was at least a Buick. It's now, as I say, 10 a.m. And I'm 1 hour return service man problem, and I got 10 cans and one Model A Ford with good rubber. But no gas. I call upon a certain gas rationing board. And gentlemen, even as I was brought across the country from Brooklyn to save my country, Satan, a grateful citizen, Harry, will send me back to Brooklyn out of my work is done. Yes, I know. My government will send me back by train. But surely you'll grant me the privilege of taking back with me the one little possession of my whole life, my very own automobile. Gentlemen, as patriotic citizens, I have a small proposition to make to you. At 11 o'clock of my first day as a returned soldier problem, I'm headed south on the coast highway toward Los Angeles in my own automobile, which has a very large tank full of gas. It's very nice. I observed the ocean. I breathe in a few lungfuls of air, which is strictly empty of malaria and other obnoxious diseases native to where I've been. And I'm feeling very, very good. At 11 o'clock, my stomach announces it's time for chow. I pull up to a very small hot dog stand, which is standing by the crossroads. In the hot dog stand, reading a very large book, is a very small girl who, the minute she opens her mouth, I think, where am I?
Good morning, Thursday afternoon. What can I do for you? We have anything you want as long as it is hot dogs.
I stand there with my mouth hanging open like Cousin Harold, the one they had to put away.
Look, mister, haven't you ever seen a girl before?
You said you to live on DeKalb Avenue?
What's it to you?
Brooklyn. She's from Brooklyn. She's from Brooklyn. At 12 o'clock sharp, I'm behind the counter helping this very nice character to wait on customers. Okay, Annie, I guess we got them customers under control now, so come on. Give us some more of that life history, hey?
Well, so Pa takes one look at this blonde cookie and he forgets all about his great love for California and the business and me, and he cleans out the cash register and goes.
Oh.
So for 6 months I've been parking it here, and that's it. I got relatives down in San Diego on my side, but who can get there?
You mean you want to get away, hey?
What do you think?
Annie, when people want to get away, how do they go? By automobile.
What automobile?
Annie, standing out there by the curb is an automobile that's had to find tender care of a good man in a good home. And because you're from Brooklyn and because I'm from Brooklyn, I have a small proposition to make to you. At 1 o'clock sharp, I am owner of a hot dog stand on U.S. Highway 101, which is a very main type artery, running from San Francisco down to San Diego. At 1:30, a very large individual who, if he was a woman, would be, your pardon the expression, a spitting image of Cousin Aggie, sits down at the counter. While he's munching on his 6th hot dog, complete with all the fixings, I engage with a little conversation. How are the hot dogs, mister? Well done enough for you? Would you like to have some more onions?
Wonderful.
Should I like that? Mister, I just got back from the South Pacific, and I heard some mighty strange palaver down there, but I don't know what tribe you're from.
Sorry. I've been so busy these days, I always eat with my mouth full. I said you don't know how lucky you are. I haven't been down in the South Pacific.
Lucky? You tell me?
You haven't been here during the war. People. Some of them would rather lose the war than a button off their shirt.
Shirt? What shirt?
Any shirt. Hand me the salt. Thanks. Yes, sir, you're lucky. What's wrong with you?
A little malaria.
You're still lucky. I got 3 ulcers. Mister, these aren't my sheets. I don't care what the laundromat says. These aren't my sheets. Mine were for Kale. Huh? And all the time you know and she knows that all the sheets she ever owned to her name were made from old flour sacks.
So she takes in the small claims court and sues you for betrayal. People.
Mister, are you in the laundry business?
Hand me the pepper.
Yeah.
No, the laundry business is in me. Up to here. It's not a big place, you understand. In fact, just a little hand laundry, but I just can't take it anymore. Why isn't my laundry back? Why didn't you darn my socks? You tore all the buttons off my shirt. You gave me the wrong bundle. Oh, my gosh, what a just peace and quiet.
Mister, is this here peaceful enough for you?
Yes. I could sit here eating hot dogs the rest of my life.
Mister, I have a small proposition for you. Mister, I have a small proposition for you. Dear relatives, by 3 o'clock of that same day, I am in the laundry business. That's all. Like I said before, with all these here rumors and worries going around, I've been very happy to take this opportunity, like the politician said, to make a report to all of you. The laundry business here is even better than it was down in that certain South Pacific island. Because here, when a customer gets tough with me, rank don't go. Like you might say, everybody here's nothing but a private, not even PFC, so I get along fine. I already have $1,000 in my kick. And if any of you relatives back in Brooklyn get in trouble, just leave me know. I, Sudgy Moran, formerly of the United States Marine Corps and more recently a returned soldier problem, will take care of you. Until you get on your feet, I will personally do your laundry for 1 month free at half rate. Of course, dear relatives in Brooklyn, you'll have to make your own pickup and delivery. I will close this report by stating that my laundry is located in San Diego, California.
You have just heard Report to My Relatives. The leading player, Bruce Elliott. This was the second of 2 short plays of a double feature, written especially for radio by Arch Oboler. The music was written by Gordon Jenkins, and the orchestra conducted by Al Sack. Next week, we will bring you Mr. Oboler's original dramatization of a new and very unique book, Names on the Land, by Mr. George R. Stewart. This is the story of the origin and evolution of the principal names on the land in the United States. With story, song, and music, this broadcast will tell you of the names of our land, the name, perhaps, of the place where you live. This will be the 9th in a special series of plays written, produced, and directed for the Mutual Broadcasting System by Arch Oboler. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Stay tuned for the mystery program that is unique among all mystery programs. Because even when you know who is guilty, you always receive a startling surprise at the final curtain. In the Signal Oil program, The Whistler. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, The Whistler's strange story, The Clay Tree.
Russ Thompson's movements were quiet, his steps slow and even as he paced back and forth across the wide corridor. Outside, the approaching storm was creeping closer. Russ would stop occasionally, look up to where the winding, heavy-railed staircase disappeared to the floor above. It was almost as if he could see what was going on up there, in old Elvira Clay's bedroom. The doctor checking Elvira's fading pulse. Jennifer Clay, Elvira's niece, looking on. You start to pace again, Russ, and then stop as Elvira's attorney, Jace Devlin, sighs softly from his position in the big wing chair across the living room.
What do you think, Jace? You think the doctor's right that Elvira won't last?
She's old, Russ, very old, quite tired.
Oh. I wish Jennifer would come down, let us know.
You heard the doctor's last report. Your attitude, Russ.
What about it?
Most admirable. I know you've always thought a lot of the Clays. I mean, far beyond your management of their land and holdings.
I try to do what's right.
You've done nobly. Even this feeling about poor old Elvira. After all, it isn't as if she didn't live a good, long life.
That isn't everything.
It helps.
Killing of her son didn't help any, especially the way he was killed. Poor Elvira.
I still wish you would try to talk her out of leaving that tree up there on the hill with that plaque on it, to the memory of hasty hands that took justice and law unto themselves. It's a monument of shame. That's what it is.
Why shouldn't it be? Your only son was hanged by a wild mob.
It was done by mistake, Russ. A terrible mistake.
That doesn't bring the boy back.
No. The Anderson girl they thought he killed. But what are you going to do? Elvira's son was going with the girl. They quarreled. When she was murdered, it was natural for people to think he did it.
Natural. Wasn't natural to hang him, take the law into their own hands.
But they did, Russ. And then learned too late that the boy couldn't possibly have done it, that it was someone else who killed her.
Anyway, I don't condemn Elvira. I mean, for putting a plaque on that tree up there. It's going to stay there, you know.
So it seems, Russ. So is that crowd up on the hill. They're pretty mad. Elvira's mind is made up. I wish she'd change her mind.
And I hope she doesn't.
It's a strange situation, isn't it, Russ? Attorney Jace Devlin mistaking your attitude for strong devotion to Elvira Clay. Actually, it's far different, isn't it? Yes. And as you walk to the window and look up toward the big tree on the hill, you're trembling inside, trembling with fear and anxiety. The little crowd of townspeople around the tree, Russ. Supposing they got excited, decided to tear the tree down. The old Clay tree. You hate it as much as any of them, don't you? But for a much different reason. And in spite of your hate, you realize the tree must not be touched, at least for a while.
Jace.
Yes, Russ.
I'm going out for a walk.
In this weather?
That's right.
Going up to have another look at the tree?
What if I am?
Well, I guess the people know how you feel anyway. It will be a long time before they're in the mood to harm anyone else.
Elvira's at least accomplished that.
Yes, he's at least accomplished that.
Fighting the wind as you stride up the hill toward the old tree, your mind spins, doesn't it, Russ? Its branches silhouetted against the sky look weird, accusing. Equally accusing of the softly muttering people standing around at the base of the tree, staring at the plaque which Elvira ordered placed there following the hanging death of her son. You're thankful that the plaque is all that these people can see, aren't you, Russ? Yes. Thankful that no one but you knows of the terrible secret. As you reach the summit and the small group of muttering townspeople, you see Hank talking to a news photographer.
Hard to blame the old woman for putting up that plaque. Now, let's see now. I want to get a picture of it.
Well, it's right there, right in front of you, plain to see. To the memory of hasty hands that took justice and the law unto themselves. You didn't have to come all the way down here, mister. Those words been in the papers a lot the past 2 weeks.
No, ours is a different angle. Pictures. We do a layout covering the whole story. The tree here, the plaque, reaction shots of the townspeople.
They won't like it. Am I right, Mr. Thompson?
What?
I say folks won't like this magazine fella taking pictures. They're ashamed, but they're pretty fed
Folks,
up.
would you move aside a little, please? I want to get a close shot of that plaque. Now, that does it. Now, I'll get another for protection. And if you folks don't mind, maybe a few of you looking up at the tree.
Suppose we do mind.
Yes, we've just about suffered enough.
Now, easy, folks. Mr. Thompson, you better talk to him.
I'm not interested.
Look, folks, I'm just doing my job. It's news. My magazine, they sent me down here.
We're sending you back. Go on. We're not posing. You have your picture of the plaque. You better do what he says, mister. I can't be responsible.
Well, okay. Take it easy. You don't have to shove. I'm going.
I'll see you later, Mr. Thompson. I better help him get out of here.
Sure. Go ahead, Hank.
You wait until the small crowd of townspeople and the protesting magazine photographer have all gone. Then you look around, decide there's no one watching, then step quickly over to the tree, reach your arm down inside the hollow trunk where your secret is hidden. Secret evidence, Russ. Murder evidence against you. Evidence proving you committed the murder for which Elvira's son was hung. The letters that the Anderson girl had written you. The gun you killed her with. Yes, Russ. Murder evidence. Evidence that could hang you. Evidence you hurriedly disposed of the night you killed her. But now, as you try to reach them, you find that the hollow extends much deeper than you thought.
Oh, it's no use. Probably hollow, clear down to the base of the tree.
Mr. Thompson?
You whirl, drawing your arm quickly out of the tree trunk, your hand empty, as Hank, the caretaker, comes back up the hill.
Well, he's gone, Mr. Thompson. That reporter. They run him off.
Just as well.
Been somebody around here ever since it happened.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think will happen to the tree now, Mr. Thompson?
Happen? Why should anything happen to it?
Why, haven't you heard? I thought you handled all the Clay property.
Well, my office does, of course, but I don't know what...
Well, I heard only yesterday that some fella named Carson's aiming to buy this property. Wants to put up a new house right smack on the knoll here.
Oh, no. Oh, Elvira'd never stand for that.
But if she dies, Mr. Thompson, and it seems as if she will, then what?
Well, then there's her niece, Jennifer, a good, sensible girl.
Yeah, but Jen never did hanker too much after putting that plaque up there. Thought it was unfair to all the people in town that didn't have nothing to do with the hanging. Jen might just sell, don't you think, Mr. Thompson?
Well, I don't know, I'm sure. If you don't mind, Hank, I've got to get back inside. I forgot I left Jace Devlin waiting for me.
You scarcely know what you're saying, do you, Russ? The fear inside you is mounting so. You were so certain you could reach the gun and those letters. Didn't realize that the hollow in the tree went so far down. And that you'll have to improvise a way to fish them out when you get the chance. You hurry back to the house. Discover Jace Devlin on his feet, looking toward the wide circular staircase. Jennifer is standing there, isn't she, Russ? White face, silent, looking down on both of you. Then...
She's dead. Aunt Elvira's dead. It's up to me now to look after the house of clay.
In that popular new song, she lived on the morning side of the mountain. He lived on the twilight side of the hill. They tell of a boy and girl who lived so near to each other, yet never got acquainted, never got to know each other. Well, don't laugh, friends. You may be living even closer than that to wonderfully improved performance for your car, yet never get to know what proud performance your car can deliver unless you get acquainted with Signal Ethyl gasoline. You may never know how quickly your car can start on cold mornings unless you try Signal Ethyl. You may never know what peppy pickup, what smooth, quiet power your engine can deliver unless you try Signal Ethyl gasoline. For the premium grade of Signal's famous Go Farther gasoline is a true super fuel, scientifically engineered to bring out the best in any car of any age. And, fortunately, unlike the boy in the song, you won't have to drive over a hill to try Signal Ethyl. You'll need only drive into the nearest Signal station and say, "Fill her up with Ethyl." Why don't you the very next time you need gas?
It was a dread moment, wasn't it, Russ? Hearing that old Elvira Clay was dead, and having no idea what her niece Jennifer will do now that it's up to her to run things. You try several times to recover your gun and the telltale letters from the murdered Anderson girl from the old Clay tree, but you can't get to them. If the tree is chopped down before you get them, the evidence against you would be conclusive, wouldn't it, Russ? And the townspeople in their fury would destroy you in the same way they destroyed Elvira's son. You know that tree must stand, don't you, Russ? At least until you can somehow fish the gun and letters out of the hollow trunk. You wish that people would stop paying visits to the tree. And then one morning at your real estate office, another visit occurs. A frightening one, in the person of a Mr. Carson.
Good morning, Mr. Thompson.
That's right.
My name is Carson, Finley Carson. I understand you handle the Clay properties?
I do.
There's one particular piece I'm interested in. The knoll just above their place. You know the one, I'm sure, with the old trees.
That piece of property, Mr. Carson, is not for sale.
Oh? But I thought since the old lady's passed on...
The old lady, as you call her, Elvira Clay, as I call her, would not have wanted to sell. And I'm certain her niece will respect those wishes.
Oh, I see.
I hope you do, sir. It'll make it easier for both of us if we respect the wishes of the deceased.
Well, I must say that's a noble attitude. I didn't think that the average salesman...
No need for there to be any unpleasantness between us, Mr. Carson. Perhaps I can show you something else?
Not today, thank you. You see, I more or less had my heart set on that knoll. Well, Mr. Thompson, I'll see you again, perhaps.
Any other property in town, Mr. Carson, I'd be happy to help you in any way.
Thank you. Good day, Mr. Thompson.
You're safe for the time being, aren't you, Russ? But that isn't good enough, is it? You've got to find a way to protect the secret the Clay tree holds. Make certain it will never be taken down. At least until you can somehow find an opportunity to remove the gun and letters from the hollow trunk. You think about it in the days that follow. And finally the answer comes to you one morning as you're having a late breakfast at the corner lunchroom where you've grabbed quick snacks for years. As you listen to the idle chatter of Frank, the counterman.
Well, Mr. Thompson, I guess the Clay house will have a lot of callers from now on, huh?
What do you mean, Frank?
I mean Miss Jennifer. Now that she's come into the Clay money, I guess some of the young fellers around town will be dropping in to see her.
Oh, yes, I suppose so.
Nice girl, Miss Jennifer. Not what you'd call a raving beauty, but a mighty nice girl.
She's all right.
It might be smart for you to think about her a little more, Mr. Thompson, if you know what I mean.
I'm afraid I don't.
Well, she's always been sort of fond of you, ain't she?
We've been friends for a long time.
I got an idea she'd like it better if you two were more than just friends.
Really?
Yep. That's what I think. What do you think?
I think I'll have some more coffee, Frank.
Pressure would ease, wouldn't it, Russ? If you could be certain that, at least for the present, Jennifer won't sell the Clay tree property. She's always liked you, you know that. But you've never paid much attention to her, have you? Hardly noticed her. But Frank, the counterman, gives you an idea. You decide to call on Jennifer, and you do several evenings in a row. And in the weeks that pass, you're most attentive. She's pleased, isn't she, Russ? Until one night as you stopped by the house to pick her up.
Hello, Jen. Well, not ready yet. I thought we were going out to dinner.
Come in, Russ. I'll only be a moment.
Sure.
I've had a visitor.
Oh? Anyone I know? Competition, perhaps?
Hardly. My caller was Mr. Carson.
Carson?
Yes. He told me he'd made you an offer for the Clay Tree property. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And you turned it down?
Well, yes, I did.
Why wasn't I consulted about this?
Well, I didn't think it was necessary.
Didn't you?
Well, now, look, Jennifer.
Oh, I know. You just naturally assumed that because Aunt Elvira and the tree, that I'd turn down Carson, too.
Of course.
Well, you're wrong.
What?
I've accepted Mr. Carson's offer.
You've accepted?
Yes. A very generous offer, I think.
Yeah, but the tree, he'll have it taken down.
It's high time someone did.
Oh, you can't mean that.
I most certainly do. I never dared tell Aunt Elvira, but that tree, that horrible plaque, the whole idea of it, well, I think it's perfectly hideous.
Now, Jennifer, listen
It's
to
no
me.
use. I've made up my mind. I know Aunt Elvira thought very highly of you, Russ. Listen to your advice. I intend to do the same in all matters except this. I insist the Clay Tree property be sold.
I see.
Mr. Carson will be expecting your call in the morning. I want you to handle all the details.
Of course.
Now, let's drop the matter, shall we?
It seems hopeless, doesn't it, Russ? You're certain you can't talk Jennifer into changing her mind. Carson's won. He'll have the tree chopped down immediately. And unless you can recover the damning evidence against you first, its fall will reveal your guilt. You spend a sleepless night trying to think of a quick way out. Following day, you're in your office when a visitor calls. It's Jace Devlin, Elvira Clay's attorney.
Glad I found you in, Russ.
Why, something wrong, Jace?
I've just heard some rather disturbing news.
Oh?
The talk around town is that George Carson is going to buy the Clay Tree property.
Well, yes, that's right. I tried to talk Jennifer out of it, but
can't sell, you know.
What?
According to the terms of Elvira Clay's will, Jennifer cannot sell that property.
She can't sell?
That's right. It was Elvira's way of making certain nothing would happen to that tree.
Jace Devlin, are you sure?
Of course I am. Drew up the will myself. I'm surprised Jennifer didn't know about it.
She can't sell.
Something amusing, Russ?
Are you absolutely certain I can't sell, Russ?
According to Jace Devlin, and he ought to know, he drew up the will for your aunt.
Oh, I see.
I gather you didn't bother to read the will, Jen.
Oh, no, I didn't see any reason why I should. I knew Aunt Elvira had left everything to me, and... Well, that, I suppose. No sale.
No sale. If you'll excuse me now, I'd better look up Carson and tell him it's all off.
Oh, won't you stay for lunch?
Better not. I have a busy day.
All right. Will I see you tonight?
Afraid not, Jen. I'm going to be busy then, too.
Oh, I see.
I'll phone you tomorrow, though, Jen.
Yes. Do that.
The tree is temporarily safe, isn't it, Russ? And time is on your side again. Soon the tree will be forgotten, deserted, and you can do whatever is necessary to get your gun and letters out, even chop into it. Jennifer isn't important now. You hurry back to your office. Put in a call to George Carson. He's disappointed when you tell him the deal is off. But then something he says sends a wave of fear sweeping over you.
Well, how was I to know? I thought the sale was on, and I wanted to get started right away.
You sent Hank Thomas out to chop down the Clay tree?
Yes, he's probably out there now.
Hank! 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 You can put up that axe. You're all through here.
Well, but I just got started.
The tree isn't going to be chopped down.
But Mr. Carson said...
Never mind what Carson said. The deal is off. I just talked to him on the phone.
The sale is off, huh?
That's right.
How about that $5 he paid me?
You can keep it.
Well, that's fine with me. You know, I was just thinking I should have charged him $10 at least. It's a bigger job than I thought. Well, I guess I might as well get on back to the house.
Now, wait a minute. You're not going to leave the tree half chopped like this, are you?
Why not?
Well, there's a storm coming up. You better do something about propping it.
I don't think that'll be necessary, Mr. Thompson. As you can see, I didn't chop very deep into the trunk.
I don't want to take any chances.
Well, whatever you say. I'll get some rope from the house and... let me see. I could loop a rope around that top branch, anchor it with a stake in the ground over there, and then I could do the same thing on the other side.
Yes. I think that'll do fine. Will you get started, Hank?
Sure thing, Mr. Thompson.
A few minutes later, Hank returns with several long coils of rope attached to 2 iron hooks, fastens the hooks to the topmost branches, and then climbs down to draw the ropes tight around some heavy stakes.
All secure, Hank?
Oh, it's sure to hold fine, Mr. Thompson. In the morning, I'll see what I can do about something more permanent. Maybe put a jacket of cement around the base of the tree.
Just send me the bill when you've finished, Hank.
Right. Well, I'll see you later, Mr. Thompson. I got some chores to tend to.
Of course, Hank. You go on.
You watch Hank start away down the hill. He's brought you just the tools you need, hasn't he, Russ? The ropes and iron hooks he fastened near the top of the tree to fish your gun and the packet of the Anderson girl's letters from the hollow tree trunk. The first real chance you've had. It'll be easy, won't it?
Russ!
It's Jace Devlin, Elvira's attorney. You know you must find a way to get rid of him quickly. The wind is increasing in fury, and you're not certain the tree can withstand the pressure of the storm after Hank's chopping into the trunk. And until the evidence against you is removed from the tree, the letters destroyed, and the gun disposed of, there'll always be a threat to you.
Hello, Jace.
Hi, Russ. Still worried about the tree?
Well, I thought it best to take certain precautions.
Of course. I must say you've shown great concern over the welfare of the clay tree, Russ.
Well, yes, but you see, I felt a certain responsibility, Jace. After all, I should have checked with you before okaying Jennifer's sale to Carson.
I understand, my boy, I understand. Well, guess I'll get back to the house, Russ. Coming along?
No, not right away. The wind's rising. I want to see how those ropes hold. I'll be along.
All right. Don't think you have to worry, though. I'd say the old clay tree is going to stand for a long time.
Yes. Yes, it does seem that way.
Because so many tires these days claim to have some kind of guarantee, tonight I'd like to point out the difference in tire guarantees. Point out the extra protection you get in the double guarantee on Lee tires. You see, guarantees against defective workmanship and material are quite common, but few tires are backed by a written road hazard guarantee such as is offered by Lee. A guarantee you can read, see what it says, and have it with you when you need it. Most important, however, is what Lee's generous road hazard guarantee covers. It covers any unexpected damage to a Lee Super Deluxe tire during the first 15 months. Any damage, such as cuts or bruises, which might make it necessary to replace a tire. Now, obviously, in order to give you such a generous written guarantee, Lee tires must contain extra quality, although you pay nothing extra for them. Any one of the hundreds of thousands of enthusiastic Lee tire owners could tell you how much extra Lees give. Extra mileage, extra safety, extra value that make it well worth your while to get your next tires at one of the 19,000 Lee tire dealers throughout America, which include all Signal service stations.
The news of the tragedy spread quickly, and the townspeople flocked hurriedly to the scene. A windswept hill, a twisted, misshapen tree silhouetted against the sky. Exactly how the accident had happened was not quite clear to them. But one thing was, the clay tree had claimed another victim. The one man in a position to guess what might have happened, Attorney Jace Devlin, told his story to the sheriff.
When I left, Russ Thompson was standing right here, Sheriff. He was worried about the tree standing against the storm. I figured he was going to climb up, tighten things up a bit.
Yeah, I guess that's what he did, all right.
When Russ failed to show up at the house, I came back, and there he was, up there swinging at the end of the rope by his neck.
From where the rope is hanging over the limb, it looks as though he climbed the tree, unfastened the hook, and was bringing it down to fasten it lower down on the tree. And he must have tried to throw the rope over that other limb there and slipped.
Yeah, I guess that's how the rope got tangled around his neck as he fell.
That's the way it must have happened. Too bad.
It sure is. Poor Russ. The pity of it is that the very tree he was trying so hard to protect for Elvira Clay's sake finally hanged him.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at the same time. Meantime, Signal Oil Company and the friendly independent dealers who help you go farther with Signal gasoline hope you'll remember. Regardless of what gasoline you use, you'll enjoy more miles of happy driving if you drive at sensible speeds, obey traffic regulations, and avoid taking chances. You may even save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Larry Dobkin, Gene Bates, Herb Butterfield, Parley Bear, George Neese, and Britt Wood. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Adrian Jondeau, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler was entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember to tune in at the same time next Sunday, when the Signal Oil Company will bring you another strange story by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. Stay tuned now for our Miss Brooks starring Eve Arden, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London. The Black Museum, a repository of death. Yes, here in the grim stone structure on the Thames which houses Scotland Yard is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a kitchen knife, a roller skate, a violin string, all are touched by murder. There's a .32 caliber bullet. It's a familiar object. Brass cartridge case, snub-leaden nose. Not very pretty to look at.
Interesting, this bullet, Sergeant. Notice the back of the cartridge case?
Yes, sir. It's for a center-fire weapon. The firing pin of the pistol must strike the center of the cartridge.
Right. But the weapon in which we found this bullet was a rimfire revolver. The firing pin could strike only the edge of the cartridge. That little fact, Sergeant, saved at least one life, I'd say.
Well, today, that center-fire bullet can be seen in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum.
Here we are, the Black Museum. Scotland Yard's museum. A museum of murder. Here lies death, so orderly, so well kept, row and row. A macabre record of the violence of many generations, each object in its place, each marked, tagged, carded with name and place and date. Each object in this room enjoyed in its life one supreme moment when the eyes of the world were upon it, and it played its silent part in a case of murder. And here we are. Here's a jeweled ring, fit for a princess, but born of a mind like the Borgias. Press the jewel, so, and a tiny point licks out, a fang, dripping death. Shake hands with your enemy. Shortly thereafter, he dies. A bathtub. Yes, a bathtub. White, smooth, shining in the dimness. Once a man floated face down in this tub. He slipped or he had been pushed. Was the mark on his skull caused by striking his head as he slipped, or by a blunt weapon? In any case, he drowned. I see. The .32 caliber bullet. Even here, lying so quietly, so somber, it's ugly. This object was made for killing. As a matter of fact, it never did kill. That's the story. It began on a London street. A dark sedan drove slowly into the stream of traffic. And 3 young men in it. One seems quite a bit younger than the other. Even so, the car continues to cruise along.
You got everything straight, Rod? Sure. Do you think I'm a goon?
You just want to be sure, kid. That's all. Now, what did we tell you?
I'll stay in the car till you wigwag it's all clear. Then I'll go in with you. Hey, there's a chance to park the old bus. Kiki? Watch the fenders now. Wouldn't want nobody to ask for your license at a time like this, eh?
Matty.
Sure, Jack, sure. Just kidding him, that's all. What's the matter? You edgy?
Cold as ice, that's me.
Yeah. Ice is what we're going to get. All set. Let's go.
2 young men leave an automobile, stroll up the street, hands in pockets, cigarettes dangling loosely from their mouths. They walk past a busy jewelry store.
Pretty crowded. Maybe we ought to wait.
Could be. No use taking chances.
They stroll a few steps farther on. They turn, start back, quite casually.
Hey, what's the kid doing? Oh, that guy's going into the store. Come on. That goon must have thought we'd make the signal. Got your gun? What else? Slow down now. Here we go. Rod, what's the idea? You wigwag, didn't you? Never mind. Let's do it. Right.
All right, everybody. This is a hold-up.
Over against that wall. Everybody. These guns are loaded.
No! You don't take my stuff! No!
Shut up, you. Quiet. Anybody talks, I'll give it to him. Rod, grab the junk on the counters. You there. Stand still. Drop the button. Rod, the car. Start the engine. Ready. Scram.
Not there! Please!
Hey, in that store. Matty, Jack, the truck. It's double parked. We can't get the car out. We're stuck behind that truck. Run for it, kid. That way. I can't get the car out. I can't. Come on, Jack. Get moving.
Stop, you! Stop! You're the thieves! Stop! Get out of my way, you! I've got you! Please!
Now it's in the fire! Run, Betty!
A man lay dead on the sidewalk. The crowd milled around him. The black sedan stayed in its place. 3 young men disappeared in the teeming streets, disappeared completely and utterly. A few hours later, in a quiet office in Scotland Yard, Inspector Bowers and Detective Sergeant Wood looked at what they had.
Not very much of anything, have we, Sergeant?
No, sir. Descriptions which could be any of 100 men and 2 bullets.
A 45 bullet from the woodwork in the jewelry store, and the 32 which killed that fellow.
With no guns to go with them.
Well, if those boys were smart at all, they'd ditch the guns.
Funny, you'd expect a lot more shooting in a thing like that.
They were conserving ammunition. Oh, well, I don't know. Circularize the descriptions, what there is of them. That's about all for the moment.
Yes, sir. 3 men, youngish, white handkerchiefs everywhere.
And that was all. Now, where do you start among 8 million people searching for 3 youngish men who may be miles away by now? Well, the answer is you don't start. You wait. You have patience. And sometimes your patience is rewarded. Sometimes sooner than you expect.
This is Wilson, Inspector. He's the cabbie who called in this morning.
Ah, how do you do, Wilson? Sit down.
Thank you, sir. Thanks very much. Wilson may have something on the jewellery store killing, sir.
Yes, well, let's hear it, Wilson.
Well, sir, I never thought about it till I seen the papers this morning. All about the hold-up and that poor fellow who got himself killed yesterday.
Yes, go on, Wilson.
Well, sir, I was taking my cab along Queensbury Road, about a block from the place where it all happened, when a fellow with a white thing round his neck hops on the running board. I've a fare, so I waves him off. Now, I see him go into that big building, the Brook building, I think it is, sir. Corner of Queensbury and Mason.
You're certain of this, Wilson?
Oh, yes, sir.
Anything else?
I'm not so sure of this, Inspector, but I think I saw another fellow run in the building after the one what jumped onto my cab.
Oh, very good, Wilson. Well, you may have been quite helpful. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Get your hat, Sergeant. We're going exploring.
The reward of patience. And sooner than expected, but only a bare and vague beginning. This kind of investigation takes long hours and hard work. And endless questions. Up and down the hallways of the large office building, in and out of business offices.
Did you notice any commotion in the hall yesterday around 3 o'clock?
Did a man with a white scarf around his neck take your elevator around 3 o'clock yesterday?
Did you hear any running or anything like that around 3 o'clock yesterday?
On and on, upstairs, downstairs, nothing. No one noticed anything, nothing irregular, no commotion. What was that? Did the porter notice anything?
2 fellows. One of them had a raincoat, I think. Both of them had white rags round their collars, sort of.
Oh, you're sure of this?
Oh, yes, sir. They seemed in a hurry, sort of.
Where did they go?
Which office, you mean?
That's right.
Well, I wouldn't know, sir. They went up the stairs just as I was putting some empty waste cans on the service lift.
Oh, did you see them in again?
Well, now you mention it, yes, sir, I did.
Where?
On the 3rd floor it was. I was taking my mop to the hall. One of them was sort of half sitting on the stair rail. The other fellow was looking out of the hall window that opens onto Queensbury, sir. They didn't have the white rags, sir, but they were the same fellows.
Anything else?
No, sir, not that I remember. Oh, Bob Saunders might know something, Inspector.
Oh, who's this Saunders?
Oh, he drives a van, sir. He's been making deliveries to this place every afternoon for years.
Ah, thank you. Right, well, let's go, Sergeant. Maybe Mr. Saunders does know something. We have your address.
They reached the street outside, just as a large, rather decrepit truck, driven by an equally decrepit elderly man, pulled up to the curbstone.
You, Pop Saunders? That's me. Who are you? Sergeant Wood, Scotland Yard. This is Inspector Bowers. Yes? Have I done something?
No, but you may have seen something that'll help us.
Yes, sir.
Were you here at this time yesterday?
Yes, sir. I'm always here. This time of day.
Well, did you notice anyone with a white scarf go into the building? Running, perhaps?
Oh, those 2. Yes, sir, I did. Funny thing, they seemed in such a hurry. One of them had a raincoat. They came out later. No scarves and no raincoat.
Now the search is on for a raincoat. Scarves or handkerchiefs can go into pockets, not raincoats. The Brook building swarms with police. Every nook and cranny is inspected. In the cellar, in a dark corner.
This must be it, Inspector. Every other raincoat in the building's accounted for. Not a mark on it. Nothing.
Yeah, try ripping the lining, Sergeant.
Nothing, sir. Except the manufacturer's stock tag under the armpit.
Not much, but a little at any rate.
Check the manufacturer. From there to the jobber who bought the lot on which that coat was packed. From the jobber to the retailer.
It's times like this I thank heaven for rationing. At least they have to keep a record of the clothing coupons and the names of everyone who buys anything.
A thin, tenuous trail and a mountain of sales slips to go through. But nothing strikes a chord of memory. And then the sergeant thinks of something.
Inspector, when they make out these records, don't they write the last names first?
Yeah, you're right. They do. Oh, well, back over it again. Here, how about this, Sergeant? Mac Stanley. The other way, Stanley Mac. Remember that name, Sergeant?
Stanley Mac. Not a usual name. Yes, sir, I do. Didn't he testify at a trial about 2 years ago?
He did. The trial of Jack Johnston. He was sent away for armed robbery. First offense. Light sentence. Al Georgeston ought to be out by now. All right, let's get his dossier over here, Sergeant, and then invite him in for a talk. It may be interesting, if nothing else.
Well, today, that center fire bullet can be seen in the Black Museum. It was a long chance. One man buys a raincoat. This man happens to be a witness at another man's trial. The defendant is sent to prison for armed robbery under circumstances similar to the case under investigation. The inspector in charge sends for the convicted man's dossier and finds.
Well, so Jack Georgeston was released from prison 6 days before the Queensbury killing. Now, well, let's have the young man into the yard, shall we, Sergeant? You'll be able to find him easily enough, I think. If not, we can suspect flight because of guilt, can't we? Send a pickup order out for him.
Jack Georgeston was found. Found quite easily in London.
Look, you haven't that thing on me, Inspector, and you know it.
Maybe, maybe not. Sergeant, show Mr. Georgeston the garment.
Here it is, Georgeston. Do you recognize it?
There's a million raincoats like that.
Yeah, but not bought by Stanley Mack.
That coat.
You know it?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have nothing against the rain last week when I got out. So Stan gave me the coat.
Oh, where did you lose it?
I didn't lose it. I never lost nothing. Except a little time recently.
Yeah, we know about that.
I figured you did.
Keep a civil tongue in your head, Georgeston, understand?
Okay. Okay, I said.
Well, now, since you didn't lose this raincoat, how is it that we found it?
I loaned it to a fella. How should I know what he did with it?
Oh, who had it?
I don't remember.
Now, you receive a raincoat as a gift against the rain. Within a matter of days, you loan it to someone, but you don't remember to whom.
That's right. I don't remember.
You try him, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. Speak up, man. Who had that coat?
I don't remember.
Well, maybe I can refresh your memory. The coat's hooked up with a murder. Now, who had it?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
That was
Take
the
it or
refrain.
leave it,
I don't remember. How could they make him remember? Finally, they let him go. There was nothing to hold him on. When Inspector Bowers said,
I want a tail on him, Sergeant. 24 hours a day. We'll pick up his friends one by one and see where he leads us.
One of those friends was a boy named Rodney Hamilton.
Let me alone. I never did nothing.
How old are you, Hamilton?
17, and you got no right.
Now, we happen to know that you've been away to a reform school, Hamilton. You were caught snatching ladies' purses 2 years ago.
So what? I did me time.
You don't keep very good company, son. Georgeston has been out of prison about a week.
Well, we like each other. I'll pick my own friends.
Where were you day before yesterday, about 2:30 in the afternoon?
Home, in bed.
Ah, sleeping late, huh?
I was sick. Had a fever.
We can check that, you know.
Go ahead, check it. I was at home in bed. All afternoon, all morning, and all night. I was sick.
Yes, we know. You said that before. Now, look here.
But it didn't do any good. The boy was obviously afraid. But whether of the police or of the men he knew, it was impossible to tell. Still, the patience of Scotland Yard was rewarded once again. A report came in from detectives assigned to follow both Georgeston and Hamilton that they'd been present at a party in a bar given by a third young man named Matty Canvas.
Dossier on canvas, Inspector.
Ah, thank you. So, nice lad. Stole a car when he was 11. Convicted, assault with intent to rob. Convicted, jewel robbery. Convicted, armed robbery and assault. Nice little trio, our three friends, aren't they, Sergeant?
Not exactly. Do you want canvas brought in, sir?
Yes, do that. Oh, and, Sergeant, bring the other two along, but keep them separated. Don't let any one of them know that we have the other two.
Nothing highly dramatic, merely routine, Scotland Yard routine, recognizable as standard practice by any policeman in any large city. Bring him in for questioning. But it always helps to have a few facts on which to base the questions. With this in mind, and knowing their underworld, Inspector Bowers and Sergeant Wood repaired to that certain bar where Matty Canvas held parties for his friends.
Nothing much here.
Well, there may be. Keep your ears open. Another pint of ale, please.
Right you are, sir.
Oh, now, Larry, let me wait on the gentleman.
Sit yourself, Miguel. Sit yourself.
Oh, well, down the hatch.
Right.
Patience. Frequent the bar. Wait. Keep your ears open. Don't talk. Just wait.
Say, Larry, you hear they picked up Matty?
Yeah, and the other two.
Rod, too? That kid?
Well, I, for one, ain't sorry. Gives that place a bad name, having kids around with guns in their pockets.
Not bright.
Canvas ain't bright, that's for sure. It's just he'll get bunked out of 5,000 quid's worth of stuff. Gets mad and works the kid like that there, Rod.
Oh, well, so it goes, I will say.
Another couple of pints, please, miss.
Oh, yeah, sure. There you are.
Do you know a lad named Canvas?
Me? I don't know nobody.
How about a kid named Hamilton?
You think I'll keep track of everybody comes in here?
Yeah, that would be difficult. I thought I heard you mention Mr. Canvas by name. So did my friend here.
Then you thought wrong.
We don't encourage conversation with the elder.
No, I don't suppose you do. Care to have a drink on us?
I'm not certain that I drinks with cops, mister.
More routine ahead. More routine for the inspector and the sergeant after they left the bar. They checked descriptions of the men seen at holdups and robberies prior by some months to the tragedy in Queensbury Street. In one case, a description tallied with Matty Canvas. Mr. Canvas was invited out of his cell and into the inspector's office.
All right, Canvas. You've been identified on the Davis job. You'll do a good long stretch for that. You may as well tell us what you know about the Queensbury shooting.
I don't know nothing.
Turn King's evidence, Canvas, and you'll get off easily. Otherwise, it's a hanging matter.
You can't pin that one on me. I was miles away. I can prove it.
Well, suppose I told you the kid's been talking his head off.
Rod? Talk? Not in your life. He's too scared somebody will cut his liver out.
Oh, all right, Canvas, if that's the way you want it. Take him back, Sergeant. We'll give him plenty of time to think.
No luck with Georgetown either. But the kid, there was a chance he'd break. Just a chance. The inspector took it.
Look, boy, your pals are saying that you held a gun that killed the fellow in the Queensbury holdup.
I never had a gun.
Maybe they're framing you, lad. After all, you're pretty young, 17. You won't hang. They will. So naturally, they say it was you.
I didn't. I never touched the gun.
Canvas says you did, that you had the 32 all the time.
I never did. They can't say it. They can't.
But they do. Both of them told me. Looks to us like they got together to put the job on you.
Well, why shouldn't they? They might have to die.
There were only 2 guns. They had them. You've got to believe that. You've got to.
We don't have to believe anything except evidence.
If you had the guns, if I told you where they were, I said it. I didn't mean to talk. I did.
Keep talking, lad. It's the only way to save your neck.
My neck?
If you held that gun and pulled that trigger...
All right, we threw the guns away, both of them. The 45 Matty had and the 32 Jack had. We threw them in the river from the quay at the Lancashire Wharf. If you can find them, you'll see. Maybe there'll be fingerprints. You've got to find them guns. You've got to...
Ballistic report, Inspector. The 45 fired the bullet we found in the woodwork. The 32 killed the man in the street. And it's funny, half the cartridges in the 32 were rimfire. The other half was centerfire. Those didn't go off. If they had, chances are there'd have been a lot more murder.
And today, if you're interested, you can find that centerfire bullet in a place of honor in the Black Museum.
Orson Welles will be back with you in just a moment.
It's an accepted fact in police work that 80% of the occupants of our prison either were taught there or taught themselves there. In this case, it was patient police routine plus the talking of young Rod Hamilton, which put Rod behind bars for the rest of his life and brought Georgeton and Canvas to the 13 steps and the rope one morning at 8 o'clock. There's a postscript to this story. The use of a gun by an English criminal is rare. Nor in England do the police go armed in their normal course of duty. The Hamilton case was one of the more obvious symptoms of a post-war disease of violence. The death of Georgeton and Canvas was not without its effect on this disease. For days, weeks, and even months after their execution, pistols, guns, knives, many of them perhaps innocent wartime souvenirs, others of more dubious origin, were found by the police on rubbish heaps, disused gardens, on the mudbanks of the River Thames. The criminal world of London had come to terms with their traditional enemies at Scotland Yard. And perhaps, after all, the innocent man had not died in vain. The bullet that killed him, the center-fire bullet, remains in its customary place in the Black Museum. And now, until we meet next time in the same place, I tell you another story about the Black Museum. I remain, as always, obediently yours.
Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler, written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Cogan, and starring two of radio's foremost actors, Jan Miner and Wendell Holmes, in Change of Address.
This is The Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as we meet a gentleman who's just found exactly the house he's been looking for. I call his story Change of Address. Have you ever seen a house that made you say automatically, that house was just made for a murder? Of course you have. But until now, you've never wanted to own such a house. But now your name is Andrew Holland. You're in your 40s, and all your life you've been ultra-respectable. Now, suddenly, you feel trapped, completely trapped by your marriage to your wife, Jo Castor, who rules you with an iron hand. That's why, when you find this bleak, lonely house on the shore of the Pacific Ocean, your heart leaps with joy, because it's a house just made for murder. But your story really starts many weeks before that, and many thousand miles away, in another house, your ugly, uncomfortable home in Philadelphia.
Andrew.
Yes, Jocasta?
That's your fourth cocktail.
It's only the third, and they're very mild.
2 cocktails before dinner, enough for a man of your age. We must think of your health.
I'm only 46. I really don't believe I have one foot in the grave yet.
47. And there's no use taking chances. I'm sure Dr. Stevens would back me up.
Dr. Stevens be hanged. If another cocktail is taking a chance, I'll take it. All my life I've lived safely and soberly. I feel as if I'd spent 47 years in a prison cell. It's been about as exciting. There.
Andrew. You're in a very strange mood. I'm worried about you. Perhaps you needed a tonic.
Oh, yes, I do, Jocasta. I do need a tonic. An exciting one.
Or a vacation. Perhaps a little change of scene, and we must consult Dr. Stevens.
By all means, let's consult Dr. Stevens. He's had a pill ready for every emergency in the last quarter of a century. Let's see what he prescribes now.
You must go see him tomorrow, Andrew. I will call and make the appointment. Now, please, go dress for dinner.
You go up to your room, Andrew. What's the use of rebelling? You're caught in a rut, like so many men are caught, and there's no getting out of it. You stand staring at yourself in the mirror. 47, but well-preserved, good-looking still capable of playing a man's part in the world, if you had the chance. Then your thoughts are interrupted by a sound from the next room, Jocasta's room. You know Jocasta's downstairs telephoning. You tiptoe to the connecting door, open it quietly, and look in. You see Julie, your wife's personal maid, opening the little wall safe where Jocasta keeps her jewelry. She spins the dial back and forth in a professional manner, and the safe opens. At last, you speak.
Well, Julie.
Mr. Holland.
Ah, so you're more than a lady's maid, huh, Julie? You're also a thief.
Oh, no, Mr. Holland. Mrs. Hollins asked me to get out her necklace.
Mrs. Hollins doesn't trust anyone with a combination to that safe. She's a very cautious woman, Julie.
All right, Mr. Holland. So she didn't ask me to get out the necklace. So I just saw the safe open, and I was closing it. There. It's shut. And you can't prove anything. You're not so smart. You should have waited till I stole something if you want to arrest me.
I didn't think of that. I was just wondering why you were doing it.
I'm not in the mood for writing confession stories. I'll go get my things and leave. I'm quitting this job, and you can tell Mrs. Hollins anything you want.
I don't much care to tell Mrs. Hollins anything.
Fine and dandy, then we won't have any scenes. Goodbye, Mr. Hollins.
I'm sorry for this, Julie. Sorry for you, I mean.
Save your sorrow. I'm sorry for you.
You're sorry for me? Why?
If you don't know, it's too late to tell you. I'm going.
No, wait.
Yes?
I mean, I want to talk to you, Julie. Not now. Later.
Oh? About what?
I don't know. I just want to talk to you.
All right, Mr. Hollins. Meet me tomorrow. About 5? The cocktail lounge at the Midtown Hotel.
So Julie leaves, and you, Andrew, wait until the next afternoon with much anticipation. It's the first unconventional thing you've done in 25 years. Keep an appointment with a woman, not your wife. And a thief at that.
Well, Mr. Hollins, you showed up.
Well, didn't you expect me to?
Frankly, no. Why?
Why what?
Why did you want to see me?
I wanted to ask you what you meant.
But why?
By saying that you were sorry for me?
You really don't know?
Well, maybe I can guess, but tell me.
You're a rather attractive man, Mr. Hollins.
Well, thank you.
I mean it. Of course, you're as stuffy than those horsehair sofa.
Thank you again.
Well, you are, you know.
Yes, I suppose I am. In fact, just recently, I've become unpleasantly aware that I am.
Well, you're a rather attractive man married to that woman unable to call a breath of your own, so I'm sorry for you. I can't help wondering how you'd have turned out if you'd married someone different.
I can't help wondering myself.
Well, then there's hope for you yet. Let's drink to that. To Mr. Andrew Hollins. He is hoping.
Right. But, Julie, here's hoping what?
He is hoping you get a little fun out of life. Everybody's entitled to some fun before they die.
Of course.
Look at me. Why? I'm a thief, sure. Sometimes. I started out straight. Got married. My husband turned out to be a thief, and he taught me to be one. We made a good team. Until he got killed.
I see.
And then I tried going straight. And when I took the job with your wife, I really meant to reform, but she drove me to it. I couldn't stand her. I wanted to steal her jewels just to show her. I suppose it doesn't sound sensible.
But it does. I know exactly how you feel.
You do?
Yes. Yes, I do. Why, I think I hate Jocasta. Yes, when I think how she's ruled me all these years, I hate her.
Well, listen to proper Mr. Hollins talk.
Don't call me Mr. Hollins. Call me Andrew.
All right. Andrew, you and I will have to see more of each other. We seem to have something in common.
And you do see more of each other, Andrew. Julie is a very good-looking woman. You're attracted to her. Very strongly attracted to her. You meet several times, and Jocasta suspects nothing.
Andrew. Andrew.
Huh? Oh, yes, Jocasta.
You're very absent-minded these days.
Really? I hadn't noticed.
I'm worried about you. The tonic Dr. Stevens prescribed doesn't seem to be doing much good.
Doesn't it, my dear?
I'm going to consult him about you. At your age, we must take no chances.
Of course not. No chances. We must never take any chances, Jocasta. Not about anything.
I don't understand what you mean. It's not sensible to take chances.
Of course not. Everybody knows that.
Well, you're talking queerly, too. Yes, I'm certainly going to consult Dr. Stevens.
You hear her go to the phone to call the doctor, Andrew, and you're elated because you've been making a plan, and the plan is working. When you see Julie later that day, you tell her what you're planning.
Well, Andrew, you're looking like a new man.
Well, I'm feeling like a new man, Julie, my dear. I've been working on something.
Yes?
I've been persuading our family doctor that I badly need a vacation. He's promised to convince Jocasta, but today he'll tell her. Jocasta faithfully follows every suggestion he makes. She'll urge me to take a vacation, a long one, and you see?
I think so, Andrew, but tell me anyway.
It'll give me a chance to get away from Jocasta without her suspecting anything. I'll start out in the car and just disappear. I'll change my name. You and I will meet in California. And we'll start a new life together. You and I, Julie. A life with some fun in it.
Bravo, Andrew. But, my dear, can't you just leave her? Isn't that simple?
No, I can't. You don't know Jocasta. She's a pillar of righteousness, a tower of convention. She'd hound us. Some way or other, she'd punish me for my sin of leaving her. Believe me, she would.
But, Andrew...
No, I'm right. Every time I've gone against her wishes, I've suffered for it. She's a devil, that woman, beneath all her prim conventionality. My only hope is to slip away from her before she knows that I've escaped.
Well, Andrew, if you're sure...
Yes, I'm sure. The only question is, will you do it? Join me, I mean. Take up a new life with me?
Yes, Andrew. Yes, I will.
So it's all arranged, Andrew. You're going to make a clean break with your old life. With Jocasta, everything. When you stop to think, seems a little fantastic. You falling in love with Julie, a thief, and she with you. But it happened, and it's your chance, as Julie says, at last to get some fun out of life. That night, Jocasta brings up the subject of your vacation.
Oh, Andrew.
Yes, Jocasta?
Please put down that newspaper. I want to talk to you.
Very well, my dear.
I saw Dr. Stevens today.
Oh, yes? What did he say?
Well, he said that in his opinion, you were on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Ah, nonsense. Run down, perhaps, but that's all.
I respect Dr. Stevens' opinion. You must take no chances. Now, he recommends that you take a vacation.
Indeed? What kind?
With something completely different from your life here in Philadelphia. He suggested a long motor tour, perhaps a few months in California.
Absurd, Jocasta, absurd. I wouldn't dream of any such thing.
Dr. Stevens says it's necessary, so it is all settled. We will leave in a week.
We will leave?
Of course, Andrew. I'm going with you to look after you. You are in no condition these days to be left alone.
So your plan has backfired, Andrew. Joe Castor's going with you. That completely ruins everything, doesn't it? You can't talk her out of it. Your hatred for her becomes a consuming fury as you tell Julie what has happened.
I tell you, Julie, that woman is a devil, a fiend. She's going with me to look after me, she says. I could strangle her.
Andrew, listen to me. Just look out on her. Make a clean break. She won't be able to do a thing.
She will, I tell you. You don't know her. She's capable of anything. She'd ruin our lives somehow. All legally and respectably.
She really has you beaten, hasn't she? And there's nothing we can do? I guess we just better forget the whole thing, Andrew.
No, I'll think of something. I won't let her beat me. Not if I have to kill her to prevent it.
There, Andrew, you've said it. It's out. Subconsciously, you've wanted your Castor dead for years. Now you realize it. And realize that to be free of her, you'll have to take matters into your own hands. The idea doesn't shock you in the least. The only question is, how? You don't know how, but you're determined to find a way. You arrange with Julie to go to San Francisco and wait to hear from you. Then you and Joe Castor start out by car. You drive across the country, wondering every hour how you can kill Joe Castor and get away with it. You reach California. You're desperate. Your hatred for Joe Castor is almost too much to conceal. Then you find it. Mr. Smalley, the real estate agent from the tiny seacoast town of Port Oro, shows it to you. The house. The house that was made for murder.
There it is, folks. There it is. The house I was telling you about. Villa Vista. Isolated, an ocean view, a beach of your own, quiet, seclusion, sea air. Just the thing the doctor ordered.
And so the little real estate agent shows you through the house, Andrew. First, the cellar.
See, folks, you have a real cellar and a real furnace. Anytime it gets a little chilly, just light up a fire, and there you are, snug and warm.
Cellar has dirt floor. Damp, too. It's very unhealthy.
Then the first floor, and finally the second floor. Then Mr. Smalley waits for your decision.
My answer is no, Andrew. Positively no. Now, this house is not made to be lived in. Why, it's only fit for a murder.
You look at her, startled, Andrew. Has she guessed your thought? It is an ideal house for murder. Her murder. But no, she's merely using a figure of speech. You relax.
Oh, really, my dear, you're being too harsh. I find the atmosphere here very peaceful, and Dr. Stevens did say a few months of peace and quiet would do wonders for me.
Yes, he did.
And a little paint and polish will make this house really quite livable. Will the owner fix it up, Mr. Smalley?
Afraid not, Mr. Holland. Afraid not. Name's Wilson. Lives in Seattle. Won't spend a cent on the place. Has unhappy memories for him.
Indeed. In what way?
Retired, came down here to live. His wife left him. Walked out. Went back to her folks in Texas. Well, shall we draw up a lease?
So it's done, Andrew. Joe Castor gives in when you remind her of Dr. Stevens' advice, and you sign a 6-month lease. You're not sure how you're going to do it yet, but you know that here in the utter seclusion of this house, you'll hit upon a way to be rid of Joe Castor yet. You move in, but your wife keeps grumbling about the place.
Really, Andrew, this house, there's something wrong with it. I know there is. Andrew, you're not listening. Put down that paper.
Oh, yes, Joe Castor?
I said there's something wrong with the atmosphere of this house. I can feel it.
Oh, now, Pet, you're just prejudiced against the house. It's a perfectly good house. Needs a little fixing, that's all.
Damp and it's cold. I suggest you start a fire in that precious furnace the real estate agent made so much of.
So you go down to the cellar, Andrew, and start a fire. Then you look around. It comes to you. Complete, the whole plan. It's as if the house itself suggested the idea to you. You find a rusty pickaxe in the corner. You start digging a hole behind the furnace.
Andrew? Andrew, what in the world are you doing?
Just digging a hole, my dear, to drain off the dampness.
It'll take more than that. That cellar needs a cement floor.
Indeed it does. Someday it shall have one. I promise you that.
Now you're all set, Andrew. You can just buy the house. You'll be free of Jocasta forever. Free of this woman who's controlled your every movement for years. You wait impatiently for word from Mr. Smalley.
Andrew, what in the world is wrong with you? Why, you've been nervous as a cat lately.
Oh, nonsense, my dear. I'm fine.
You are not, and it's this house. Made your nerves worse, and we're leaving it very soon.
I'm afraid we can't. We have a 6 months lease.
And I say we will leave. I've started the machinery in motion.
What do you mean, machinery?
I've made a discovery, Andrew. A significant discovery.
What discovery?
I shan't tell you. You'll just poo-poo it. The way all you men are. Nevertheless, we will shortly be leaving this house, both of us.
But I don't wish to leave. I like it here.
No, that may be. I say we will leave. I will see to it. As soon as I... Oh, telephone. I'll answer it. Hello.
This is Mr. Smalley. Is Mr. Hollins there?
Yes, he's here. For you. That real estate agent.
Hello, Mr. Smalley. What is it?
News for you, Mr. Hollins. Good news. Mr. Wilson just phoned he'd sell for cash.
I see. I'm very happy to hear it.
2 days ago he said no, but he changed his mind. Seems he's in a little legal difficulty and needs cash for a lawyer.
Oh, that's too bad, but it's an ill wind and all that.
Exactly, Mr. Hollins, exactly.
Well, I'll drop in tomorrow and settle the details. Goodbye, Mr. Smalley.
What was all that about?
There's nothing important. Jocasta, I have something to say to you.
And I have something to say to you. Now, this house has been very bad for you, so inside of 48 hours, I am sure we will be leaving it. Both of us. I just want you to get used to the idea.
On the contrary, we're staying here, both of us, for a long time to come. In fact, I venture to say that you'll be here permanently.
Nonsense, Andrew. 48 hours, at the most.
You're wrong, Jocasta.
Andrew, what in the world are...
It's over, Andrew. It's finished. Jocasta is dead. You've killed her. Now she's safely buried in the cellar behind the furnace, the dirt smoothed over, packed hard, leaving not a sign. You feel like a new man, free, exultant. You pack her things. Next morning you take them to the freight office, ship them back to Philadelphia. Then you drop in to see Mr. Smalley, give him a check for the house, and casually mention that you quarreled with your wife and she's left you, gone back to Philadelphia.
You don't say. Well, now, Mr. Hollins, guess women just don't like that house.
Well, perhaps the house doesn't like women, Mr. Smalley.
Perhaps the house doesn't like women. Very apt, Mr. Hollins, very apt.
You go back to the house, Andrew. You're filled with an enormous satisfaction. You're free. There's a new life ahead for you. For you and Julie. You call her on the phone in San Francisco.
Andrew, it's so good to hear from you. I've waited so long.
Yes, I know, darling, but it's all right now. Jocasta's left me, walked out on me, gone back to Philadelphia.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we'll be together soon, very soon.
I count the days, Andrew.
She spoke of a divorce. It won't take long, and then we'll... Oh, excuse me. Someone's at the door. Hold on a minute, Julie, will you? Yes?
Mr. Hollins?
Yes, I'm Mr. Hollins.
Well, I'm Sheriff Bigby. Miss Hollins in?
Why, no, she isn't.
Mind if I come in?
Why, no. Of course not.
Thanks. When will Miss Holmes be back?
I couldn't say.
Well, don't matter. I just thought I'd tell her hunch was dead right.
Her hunch? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Mr. Wilson, owns this place, and how he killed his wife.
Wilson killed his wife?
That's right. Nobody guessed. Till Miss Hollins came along, put us on the track. We sure thought she was a little off her rocker, Mr. Hollins, begging her pardon, when she came to my office insisting there was something wrong with the atmosphere of this house, and she was sure it was because Wilson was a murderer.
She said that?
She sure did. Well, everybody in town thought Miss Wilson up and left Mr. Wilson, but your wife, she wanted to write to Mrs. Wilson, looking for an excuse to break the lease, she said, and nobody had Ms. Wilson's address.
I don't understand.
Well, it's like this. Even the post office didn't have a change of address for Ms. Wilson. But what of it? Well, your wife said any woman who left her husband would put in a change of address so she could get her mail. Instead, it's all been going to Mr. Wilson in Seattle.
Well, what is that?
Well, now, your wife claimed this proved Mrs. Wilson was dead, murdered. But, George, she was right.
Wilson killed his wife.
He sure did. We phoned Seattle, asked the police to question him. He thought they knew the story and broke down and confessed. He's in jail now. Real smart work on your wife's part. Well, a couple of my boys will be along any minute to dig up the body.
What?
Wilson said the minute he set eyes on the house, he felt it was a good place to commit a murder. So he killed his wife and buried her real deep, behind the furnace.
Behind the furnace?
That's right. Told everybody she ran off. What is it, Mr. Hollins? Where are you going?
I left the phone off the hook. Julie?
Get Arthur, what it is? What's wrong?
I just want to say goodbye, Julie. Jocasta is coming back.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Poor Andrew. Even in death, Jocasta had him under her thumb. Yes, they both left the house inside 48 hours, just as she had sworn. That's the trouble with a house just built for a murder. Too many people may have the same idea. So, if you're ever tempted to dig a grave in your cellar, make sure no one else had the idea first, or you may get into trouble. In fact, it might be better to just forget the whole thing and... Oh, you'll have to get off here. I'm sorry. I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
The Strange Dr. Weird.
Good evening. Come in, won't you? Well, what's the matter? You seem a bit nervous. Perhaps the cemetery outside this house has upset you. But there are things far worse than cemeteries. For instance, the feeling of being cut off from the world by an insanely jealous man, as in the story I want to tell you tonight. The story I call Beauty and the Beast. My story begins in New England, on a lonely, desolate cliff overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. Near the edge of the cliff, which towers 200 feet above the rocks below, a young man stands, a mere shadow in the darkness of the night. Time and time again, he impatiently turns to look at the huge, foreboding old manor house, which is perched near the cliff's edge. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a beautiful girl appears and runs to his outstretched arms.
Oh, Kathy, darling, why are you so late?
I couldn't slip out of the house any sooner, Alan. Jason was watching my every move.
Oh, Kathy, he's twice your age.
I know.
The ugliest man I've ever known. Whatever made you marry him?
I don't know. After my father died, I was all alone. Jason kept after me to marry him. Something in his eyes forced me to say yes. I was afraid to refuse.
Well, you're not going on living with him. I'm going to take you away.
Oh, Alan, you don't know what you're saying. I can't leave.
Why not?
If I were to run away, Jason would follow you and kill you. He'd kill you the way he killed...
The way he killed... whom?
You remember George Davis, don't you?
Why, of course, he was Jason's secretary.
Well, one evening, 2 weeks ago, Jason found me talking to George in the library. A thing he'd forbidden me to do. And the next morning, Jason told me he discharged George, and that he'd already left. But then I discovered that all of George's clothes were still in his room.
His clothes were in his room?
Yes. Surely if he'd been discharged, he'd have taken them with him.
Then you think that...
I'm sure of it. He must have killed George that very night. He'll kill anyone he thinks is trying to take me away from him. Oh, darling, I couldn't stand to have anything happen to you.
Oh, darling, nothing's going to happen to me. Nor to you. I'm taking you away from here. What time can you meet me here tomorrow night?
I think I can manage to slip away around 9 o'clock.
All right, darling, 9 o'clock it is. Now you better return to the house before Jason misses you.
Catherine!
Jason!
Where were you, Catherine?
Oh, I was just out getting some fresh air.
You're lying. You slipped out to meet someone.
No, Jason, really. Oh, Jason! My arm! You're hurting me.
Who was it? Alan? Was it Alan? Tell me, or
Beg pardon, sir, but Sheriff Rogers is here to see you.
Very well, Charles. Show him in. I'll do all the talking, Catherine.
Good evening, Mr. Winthrop. Miss Winthrop. Sorry to intrude, but I must.
What can I do for you, Sheriff?
I understand you have a secretary, George Davis.
I did have. I discharged him 2 weeks ago. Why are you so interested, Sheriff?
Because his body was washed ashore this afternoon, 20 miles down the coast.
Well?
There were deep gashes on the body as though it had fallen from a great height onto the rocks in the sea. It may be suicide, and it may be murder.
You say it may be murder?
Yeah.
Surely you don't suspect I had anything to do with it, do you?
I don't know. There have been some mighty strange things happening around here. 4 months ago, Sam Arnold, your chauffeur, was murdered, and now...
Sam Arnold? Murdered?
You seem surprised, Miss Winthrop. Don't you know he was murdered?
I'm afraid she doesn't, Sheriff. She's been ill for quite some time, so I kept the news from her.
Oh, then she doesn't know that Arnold was stabbed to death less than 100 yards from this house.
Oh, no. I thought he'd been discharged. Who did it?
Well, we haven't found Sam's murder yet, Miss Winthrop. Now we have another mystery on our hands, the death of George Davis. Mr. Winthrop, I want you and your wife to be at the coroner's inquest in the village day after tomorrow. Quite a few questions we want to ask you about the deaths of both Sam Arnold and George Davis. There's a lot more going on around here than meets the eye.
Dr. Weird's story will continue in a little while. And now
Young man, before you go on, remember where you are. You know what happens on this program to people who aren't careful what they say.
Oh, I'll be careful. I'm always careful. Careful with my facts whenever I talk about Adam hats. You see, Adam hats are so downright good-looking, I have to be careful about my enthusiasm. And the makers of Adam hats are careful, too. Careful to see that every Adam is well made. Look at any Adam, and you can see for yourself the quality workmanship that goes into the designing of Adam's smart styling, perfect fit, and correct details. Care, too, is taken in the choice of material and color. That's why only genuine all-fur felt in the newest shades is used in Adam hats. So if you're a careful dresser and a careful spender, choose an Adam. Still priced at $3.45 to $10. Still, America's outstanding hat value. Now, back to Dr. Weir.
And now I'll finish my story, Beauty and the Beast. 24 hours have passed, each one of which has been an eternity to Kathy. Try as she would, she couldn't forget the deaths of Sam Arnold and George Davis. One thing seemed perfectly clear to her. Jason had murdered the two men in a jealous rage. He would stop at nothing in his madness. Her mind in a turmoil, Kathy waited tensely for 9 o'clock and her meeting with Alan.
Catherine, why do you keep looking at the clock every other minute?
I'm not aware that I am.
Is it because you have some secret rendezvous with someone?
No, I hadn't.
You're lying. Whom are you going to meet? Tell me.
Oh, Jason, my arm.
Tell me.
No one.
You're lying. I ought to kill you.
Yes, kill me. Get rid of me so I can't testify tomorrow at the coroner's inquest.
What are you talking about?
You want to kill me because you're afraid of what I might tell them. I know you killed Sam Arnold and George Davis.
Is that what you intend to tell them tomorrow?
Yes, you're nothing but a murderer. Jason, don't look at me that way, Jason. I'm not going to let you kill me. Stay away from me, Jason. I won't let you kill me.
Put down that poker, Catherine. Put it down, I said.
No, if you come any closer, Jason, I'll use it. Jason, don't, or I'll use it. I warned you, Jason. I warned you.
Kathy, you mustn't cry. You struck Jason in self-defense.
Oh, what are we going to do?
We're going through with the plans I've made. I have 2 tickets to the plane for Mexico, and we're going tonight.
Catherine!
Jason!
Oh, there you are.
You're not dead. I didn't kill you.
No, the blow you struck me only... Helen, what are you doing here?
I've come to take Kathy away, Jason.
Helen, you don't know what you're saying.
I'm warning you, Jason. Don't try to stop me.
You don't understand, Helen. She's a murderess. She killed 2 men.
What are you saying? I never killed anyone.
Helen, I'm telling you the truth. She killed Sam Arnold and George A. Davis.
You're lying. I didn't.
How could she possibly kill 2 men and not know it?
Because she's insane.
Insane?
A homicidal maniac. There are times when she loses control of her mind, and when she does, she kills.
And then she comes to and has no memory of it, I suppose.
Yes, that's it exactly. Just a minute before she pushed George Davis off this very cliff we're standing on, I heard her talking to him. Her voice was low, excited, the voice of a homicidal maniac. Before I could reach them, she pushed him off this cliff. And then she fainted. And when she regained consciousness, she had no memory of what had happened.
No, it isn't true, Alan. He's trying to blame me for murders he's committed.
Yes, I know, dear. This story's very clever, Jason. Would account rather nicely for the deaths of those 2 men, wouldn't it?
I'm telling you the truth, you hear? And I'm going to tell it to the coroner's jury tomorrow. I've protected her as long as I can.
You're not going to tell the coroner's jury anything tomorrow.
Alan, she's insane.
No.
She has to be exposed for both our sakes. Right. Alan, let go of me.
You don't deserve to live trying to make Kathy pay for your crimes.
No, Alan. Don't. You must listen to me. Alan, don't.
There's no other way out, Kathy. He was insane. Utterly insane, trying to make it appear that you murdered Sam Arnold and George Davis when he did it himself. What?
Alan, what is it? What's wrong?
I just remembered something. When Sam Arnold was murdered 4 months ago, Jason and I were on a hunting trip in Canada. Why, we heard the news together over Jason's portable radio.
You mean Jason didn't kill Sam Arnold?
I know he couldn't have.
But if Jason didn't murder you...
Kathy.
Alan, why are you looking at me like that? You don't think that I did it, do you?
Kathy, if Jason didn't do it, then what he said about you might have been true.
You believe that it is true, don't you? I can see it in your eyes. You do believe I murdered Sam Arnold and George Davis, don't you?
Kathy, the voice, it's different.
You do believe I murdered them, don't you?
Your voice is just the way Jason said it was before you pushed George Davis off the cliff. It's true. You did kill him, didn't you?
Yes, I did. At times like this, I can remember. I killed Sam Arnold with a knife. And I pushed George Davis over the cliff. Would you like to know how I did it, Alan?
Kathy, your voice, your eyes. Kathy, what are you up to?
I pushed him off the cliff like this, Alan, like this.
Kathy, look out!
Alan, I'm slipping out!
She's gone. She was trying to kill me. And she fell over herself. She was the murderer. And nobody dreamed of suspecting her. Because she was so beautiful.
Alan was right. Nobody dreamed of suspecting Kathy because she was so beautiful. But her husband, who was ugly, well, he was suspected right away. You see how handy a pretty face can be? Sometimes. But there's an old saying, beauty is only skin deep. So be careful about walking on cliff tops with lovely young women. One of them might be another Kathy. Oh, you have to go now.
Perhaps you'll drop in on me again soon. Just look for the house on the other side of the cemetery. The house of Dr. Weird.